Chapter 2297. How could she allow another woman to lay a finger on her man? How could she allow another woman to harbor any thoughts that she shouldn't have? Even if this person was her cousin, she wouldn't allow it. Now that she was with Mu Lianfeng, Zhao Yun'er realized that she was very possessive of the man she liked. She didn't want him to be involved with any other woman. If she really allowed Liang Xinyue to stay, what if she turned out to be a troublemaker? Who knew how much trouble it would cause? Zhao Yun'er raised her voice and said, "Cousin, you can't walk anymore?" When Liang Xinyue heard Zhao Yun'er's voice, she looked towards Zhao Yun'er. The two of them looked into each other's eyes. Liang Xinyue felt a little guilty, but in order to stay she still nodded and said, "That's right, cousin. We walked more than 10 miles today. Now my feet are completely sore and I can't walk anymore. So I can't go home. I want to stay the night at your house. You have a lot of rooms, I'm sure you can give me one. When my feet are better tomorrow, I'll go back by myself. Cousin, you can't be so petty that you won't let me stay the night, right?" Zhao Yun'er sized up Liang Xinyue and the corners of her mouth turned up in a cold smile. She had already spoken so harshly. What else could she say? If she rejected her, wouldn't she be admitting that she was petty? However, Zhao Yun'er wasn't a sensible person. She wouldn't really let Liang Xinyue stay just because of her pride. Instead, she replied to Liang Xinyue mockingly, "Cousin, it's only been more than 10 miles and your feet are already sore. You're really delicate. It's fine if you're a rich young lady, but we country girls run here and there every day. You shouldn't be like this." Zhao Yun'er was implying that Liang Xinyue was lying. Liang Xinyue's ears instantly turned red. Then she hurriedly said, "Cousin, what do you mean by that? Are you saying that I'm lying?" Zhao Yun'er's lips turned up. "I didn't say that. It's what you think. Could it be that you're really lying? Your feet don't hurt?" Liang Xinyue then realized that she had been tricked by Zhao Yun'er. She looked embarrassed and said, "Cousin, what are you saying? I'm not that kind of person. My feet really hurt and I can't walk. If I could go back, I wouldn't trouble you." Zhao Yun'er's smile became colder. From Liang Xinyue's reaction and the guilty posture when she spoke, it could be seen that Liang Xinyue was indeed lying. Her motive was obvious. She wanted to stay over at her house. Wu Zhenju couldn't stand it anymore. He felt that Zhao Yun'er was being too aggressive. He couldn't help but scold Zhao Yun'er. "Yun'er, my Yuer's feet hurt and she can't walk back. What's wrong with her staying over at your house for a night? Do you have to be so petty? You even came over to question this and that. You're making it seem like it's rare to have so many people around." After saying that, Wu Zhenju turned to Liang Jinxiao and said, "Sister, look at your daughter. We're relatives after all. Don't make it seem like we're worse than strangers. If this stranger is in trouble and really wants to stay over, we'll definitely help her. We won't chase her away like this." Liang Jinxiao was also in a difficult position. She frowned and looked at Zhao Yun'er. Actually, she also didn't understand why Zhao Yun'er would say such things. Even if Liang Xinyue was pretending, it wasn't a big deal for her to stay over for a night. Chapter 2298. When Liang Xinzi finished speaking, everyone looked at her. They didn't quite understand the meaning behind her words. "Zir girl, what are you saying? What do you mean my Yuer isn't pure and has ulterior motives? You have to be responsible for what you say. Tell me, what is my Yuer's motive?" She just opened her mouth and said it. "If you don't have any evidence, aren't you making slanderous accusations?" Wu Zhenju couldn't take it anymore and questioned Liang Xinzi fiercely. Liang Xinzi curled her lips and said indifferently, "Second aunt, what is Yuer's motive? Wouldn't it be better if you asked her? In any case, cousin Yun'er is right. Younger sister Yuer's foot isn't injured at all. It's not that she can't walk, she just wants to stay and doesn't want to leave." "You girl, you're spouting nonsense." Wu Zhenju was extremely angry. If it weren't for the fact that Mr. and Mrs. Dang were present, Wu Zhenju would have slapped Liang Xinzi a few times. She was already a grown girl, yet she was still spouting nonsense. It was simply infuriating. "I'm not spouting nonsense." Liang Xinzi still stubbornly replied, "Just now, I saw that younger sister Yuer could walk. Why did she say that her foot hurts and she can't walk when we were just talking about going home? If it hurts, shouldn't it have hurt when we first arrived? In the end, it didn't hurt at first, but after resting for so long, it started to hurt. Younger sister Yuer's foot is really a bit strange." Hearing Liang Xinzi's words, everyone felt that Liang Xinzi's words made sense. If it hurt, it should have hurt from the beginning. Why did it start to hurt after resting for so long? That meant that Liang Xinyue was lying because she didn't want to leave. Wu Zhenju felt that he couldn't bear to lose face, so he stubbornly replied, "So what? Can't her foot hurt now?" My Yuer isn't like you. She doesn't know how to lie. Liang Xinyue also bit her lower lip and glared hatefully at Liang Xinzi. This cousin of hers was too much. She deliberately exposed her and didn't give her any face. To put it bluntly, wasn't she also selfish? She did not want her to stay and interact with Mu Lianfeng and Mo Yen. She was afraid that she would find a good man. She was actually jealous of her and did not want her to be happy. If she wasn't able to stay overnight at Zhao Yun'er's house today, she would definitely fight Liang Xinzi to the death. The more Liang Xinyue thought about it, the angrier she got. Liang Xinzi curled her lips and no longer spoke. Anyway, she had already said what she wanted to say. Presumably, Zhao Yun'er knew that Liang Xinyue was lying. With Zhao Yun'er's character, she would definitely not allow Liang Xinyue to stay. Zhao Yun'er was even more determined not to let Liang Xinyue stay overnight. This woman liked to pretend so much. She wanted to see how long Liang Xinyue would continue pretending. Zhao Yun'er gave Xiao He a look. Xiao He had basically become intelligent. He immediately understood Zhao Yun'er's intentions. He barked at Liang Xinyue a few times before quickly lunging towards Liang Xinyue. Liang Xinyue paled in fright from Xiao He's fright. Her face paled in an instant. Zhao Yun'er called out in a hurry, "Oh no, my dog has gone crazy. Everyone move away. I'm going to be bitten by the dog. Otherwise, I won't be responsible if I lose a piece of meat." The other people in the room moved away in fright, afraid that Xiao He would bite them. Just how painful would it be if Xiao He's long teeth sank into her flesh? In her panic, Liang Xinyue did not think too much. She quickly charged out. Chapter 2299. Liang Xinyue ignored Wu Jinzhu when it was a matter of life and death. She rejected him directly. "Mother, I can't do that. You should get up on your own. This dog is coming for me. I have to run." Thus, Liang Xinyue ignored Wu Jinzhu's shouts and turned to leave, leaving Wu Jinzhu behind. Wu Jinzhu's heart sank when he saw how his daughter treated him. Normally, he would give his all to this daughter of his, but in an emergency, his daughter abandoned him without caring about her safety. In Liang Xinyue's eyes, her life was more important than her mother's. She had doted on her in the past for nothing. Now it seemed that she was a heartless person. Wu Jinzhu's face was bitter. He thought that Little Black would chase after him and bite him. He kept thinking that it was over. However, he didn't expect that Little Black would bypass him and chase after Liang Xinyue. Wu Jinzhu heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that he didn't have to suffer anymore. As for whether Liang Xinyue would be bitten, he didn't know. However, because Liang Xinyue's actions just now had made Wu Jinzhu's heart cold, Wu Jinzhu didn't want to care about his daughter's life or death. When Liang Xinyue ran into the courtyard, she thought that she had left Little Black behind. However, when she turned around, Little Black was running straight for her. Liang Xinyue's face turned pale with fright. She quickly broke into a run. Little Black continued to chase after Liang Xinyue. Little Black listened to Zhao Yun'er's hint and didn't chase after Liang Xinyue directly. Instead, it started to bite Liang Xinyue. It only chased after Liang Xinyue as if it was teasing her. However, Liang Xinyue didn't know that. She thought that Little He wanted to bite her, so she didn't dare to stop. She kept running in the courtyard of Zhao Yun'er's house, but she couldn't get rid of Little He. Little He bared its fangs as it chased after Little He. Liang Xinyue was so scared that she was about to cry. This damn dog was too much. Why was he always chasing after her? There were so many people in the house, but it didn't bother with any of them and only chased after her. In the end, Liang Xinyue ran out of energy. She was out of breath and felt like she could die at any time. However, he was afraid of Xiao He and did not dare to stop. He continued to run. Zhao Yun'er, who was standing in the house, looked coldly at what was happening in the courtyard. There was a trace of disdain in her eyes. Before Zhao Yun'er could say anything, Liang Xinzi saw this and sneered, "Second aunt, you said that little sister Yuer wasn't faking it. Now you see it, right? She said that her feet hurt and she couldn't walk. How is it that when she was chased by a dog, she ran faster than anyone else? If I didn't remember wrongly, she was the one who ran the fastest among us. Did her feet hurt? That was obviously not the case. Wasn't little sister Yuer lying just now?" Even if he didn't want to admit it, Wu Jinzhu couldn't deny it in front of the truth. This damn girl. He didn't know what she was scheming in her head. She actually lied and wanted to stay overnight at Zhao Yun'er's house. Now that he was exposed in front of everyone, Wu Jinzhu was slapped in the face because of what he said just now. At this moment, his face was burning with pain. Zhao Yun'er curled her lips. She didn't have any intention of reprimanding Wu Jinzhu. She only said indifferently, "Second aunt, if little sister Yuer really hurt her feet, I wouldn't be so petty as to not let her stay overnight. Last time, when little sister Z sprained her feet, I let her stay and even sent her there. It's clear that I don't have such thoughts. Chapter 2300. If it had been just now, Wu Jinzhu might have scolded her a little. But now she did not have the face to say anything because Liang Xingyue was the one who lied first, and they were not in the right to begin with. Zhao Yuner continued, also my family is a little busy today, and I'm afraid that Yuer won't be able to take good care of her if she stays overnight. There are still a lot of things to do for Qianan's wedding later. Plus, we have guests at our house and we just took in Pinger and Qin Yuan, so we don't have any empty rooms at home. We can't possibly let Yuer squeeze in with other people to sleep, right? After Zhao Yuner said this, if Liang Xingyue continued to shamelessly stay, it would seem that Liang Xingyue was in the wrong. Although the Liang family was thick-skinned, they were not so thick-skinned that they had no scruples. Liang Jinhui coughed softly and said to Zhao Yuner awkwardly, Yuner, I've troubled you. Yuer is too insensible. Don't worry, I'll take her with me later and won't let her stay here overnight. Zhao Yuner smiled and nodded. Thank you for your understanding, second uncle. Liang Jinhui waved his hand awkwardly. It's fine, it's fine. It's Yuer's fault. A victorious look flashed across Zhao Yuner's eyes. Seeing that she had achieved her goal, Zhao Yuner did not continue to torment Liang Xingyue. She called out to Little He, and Little He turned and ran towards her. Liang Xingyue heaved a sigh of relief. Because she ran too hard, her legs turned to jelly, and she sat on the ground, unable to regain her senses. Zhao Yuner could not help but mock her in her heart. How dare she act so arrogantly in front of her with such little guts? She really overestimated herself. After such a torment, the Liang family left with Liang Xingyue. Zhao Yuner's family immediately regained their composure. Zhao Yuner went to her room to rest for a while. When she woke up, it was already past 4 in the afternoon. The bowls, chopsticks and other things in the house had already been cleaned up. The banquet only needed to heat up the dishes prepared for lunch. As for the tables borrowed from Zhao Yuner's family, they had already returned them. Zhao Yuner did not expect that her second uncle, Zhao Wenshui, would take the initiative to come to her house to help. After delivering the tables and chairs, Zhao Wenhua and Zhao Wenshui rested in the courtyard. Zhao Wenhua said gratefully, Second brother, thank you so much for today. Zhao Wenshui smiled and waved his hand. It's okay. We're brothers. You don't have to be so polite. Your family's Yuner saved my life before. Second brother, your injuries haven't healed yet, but you insisted on coming over to help. You've been busy for so long. Are you sure your body is okay? Zhao Wenhua asked with concern. After all, Zhao Wenshui's injuries were too serious. It hadn't been long. Could it be that Zhao Wenshui's injuries had already healed? Zhao Wenshui smiled and replied, I got some medicine from Dr. Sunday. I'm much better after recuperating. I can't just stay in bed all the time. Doing some light work and exercise will help me recover. Third brother, you were the one who moved the table. I only moved a few stools. Those light things are not tiring at all. What's wrong with me doing this kind of work? After hearing Zhao Wenshui's words, Zhao Wenhua nodded and felt relieved. That's good, that's good. Otherwise, second brother, I would feel guilty if something happened to you. Chapter 2301. Well, second brother, that's true, but you still have to be careful. After all, the injuries on your body are different from those of us who are not injured. If you work too hard and something happens to you, I will feel bad. Zhao Yunlong couldn't help but exhort. Yes, second brother, that's true. As the saying went, it was better to be safe than sorry. Otherwise, it would be troublesome if something really happened. Zhao Wenshui smiled and nodded. Yes, I know. I know my own body well. I won't force myself to do things that I'm not confident of. Yes, yes. Zhao Wenhua smiled foolishly. Not long ago, his second brother had always been lazy and unwilling to do anything. It was just like how Zhao Wenshui had always used the excuse of not feeling well to not do farm work before they had separated from the family. But now, he actually took the initiative to help his family. Moreover, Zhao Wenshui didn't just help his family. He also helped the other families. Zhao Wentao mentioned that Zhao Wenshui helped to harvest grains. Based on this, it could be seen that his second brother had really turned over a new leaf and was different from before. Of course, this was a good thing for old Zhao's family. In the past, Zhao Wenshui was too muddle-headed and did a lot of ridiculous things. Not only did he implicate others, but he also suffered. Now, his second sister-in-law had divorced his second brother. Their relationship with Jing was also very strained. Zhao Wenshui had to live with Zhao Tianyu alone. Life wasn't easy, it didn't matter if the villagers were poor. The most important thing was to work hard as a family. He didn't even have a wife and had to rely on himself. It felt strange. After the two of them sat down to rest for a while, Zhao Wenhua asked earnestly, "Second brother, do you have any plans in the future? You can't possibly live with Tianyu alone." Zhao Wenshui smiled and said, "After some time I'll go to my second sister-in-law's maiden home and coax her. I'll make things clear to her and hope that she can forgive me and come back with me. I know I've done a lot of ridiculous things, but I want to turn over a new leaf now. So I hope your sister-in-law can give me a chance to turn over a new leaf." Zhao Wenhua nodded. "That's good. After all, second sister-in-law is Tianan's mother. It's better for her to take care of him. If you marry another woman, Tianyu will only have one more stepmother and may not be able to take good care of the child. Yes, no matter how good a stepmother is, she is not as good as a biological mother." Tianyu also said that he misses his mother. Zhao Wenshui sighed with emotion. If it weren't for the stupid things he had done before, Li Chuiying wouldn't have left, and Li Chuiying and Zhao Tianyu wouldn't have been separated. A good family had been turned into a mess by him alone, to the extent that the family was almost torn apart. Fortunately, he had come to his senses now. Otherwise, if he continued to cause a ruckus, no one would care even if he died. Zhao Wenhua patted Zhao Wenshui's shoulder. "Second brother, take it slow. I believe second sister-in-law can't bear to part with Tianyu. In the future, your family will be able to live a good life together." "Thank you, third brother." Zhao Wenshui thanked him gratefully. Everyone else despised him. Only Zhao Yunlong and Zhao Wentao were willing to pay attention to him and talk to him. The people from the first branch of the family didn't even want to look at him. Chapter 2302. I just want to thank you. Third brother, thank you for not despising second brother. I'm a useless person. I've caused too much trouble for others in the past. Zhao Wenshui's face was full of guilt and annoyance. He also felt a little disgusted with himself. Zhao Wenhua hurriedly comforted him. "Second brother, we're brothers. No matter how many mistakes you've made, brothers should be more tolerant and forgiving. As long as it's not outrageous, it's really unforgivable." Zhao Wenshui's heart was deeply moved again. With Zhao Wenhua's words, Zhao Wenshui felt that he was not alone at this time. He still had brothers who supported him behind him. For the sake of his brothers, he had to be a good person and not let them down too much. As the two of them spoke, Zhao Yun'er's kitchen started to get busy again. They still had to continue preparing for the banquet. However, because only old Zhao's family would be eating together, there was not much to prepare. There were many meat and vegetable dishes left over from the lunch banquet, so there was no need to make too much of a fuss. These leftover dishes only needed to be heated up a little and could be eaten. Today's incident was indeed a little troublesome. Zhao Yun'er guessed that not everyone could come to the banquet at old Zhao's house. Fifth uncle and fifth aunt were afraid that the two children would do the same to others, so after lunch they rushed back to town. Zhao Xinhui was beaten 30 times with the paddle and was now lying half dead in old Zhao's house. Hua Chunhua was so anxious that she was in no mood to come over for lunch. She did not eat at lunch and only asked for something to fill her stomach. After returning home, she directly guarded Zhao Xinhui, afraid that something would happen to Zhao Xinhui. However, when night fell, she still did not see Zhao Xinhui wake up. Hua Chunhua was anxious. When night fell, Zhao Xinhui still did not wake up. Could it be that something serious really happened? If something serious happened to her daughter, she did not want to live anymore. She didn't want to see her son die before her own. The more Hua Chunhua thought about it, the more regretful she felt. Why didn't she stop Zhao Xinhui and Qin Yuan from getting together earlier? Or she should have asked them to keep a low profile and not be so ostentatious. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been punished so severely today. Although Hua Chunhua cared about money and agreed to let Zhao Xinhui and Qin Yuan be together because of money, she felt that compared with her daughter was more important. After all, one could only enjoy life if they were alive. There were some things that money could not make up for. Zhao Baoshan also returned to old Zhao's house. He sat in old Zhao's courtyard and smoked. Although he didn't say anything, he was worried about his daughter's situation. If he really couldn't make it, he would have to send his child away. He would feel very sad. When it was almost time for the banquet to start, Zhao Benshan called out to Hua Chunhua, who was in the room. "Old woman, we should go to old third's place. Otherwise, he will have to trouble himself to invite us over." When Hua Chunhua saw that Zhao Xinhui showed no signs of waking up, she replied unhappily, "Our daughter is already in this state. Who would be in the mood to eat? If you want to go, you can go. In any case, I won't go." Zhao Baoshan put down his cigarette and sighed heavily. "Even if you don't want to eat, you won't wake up. The most important thing is to fill your stomach. If you fall, who will take care of her? No matter what, you have to take care of your own health. Don't tire yourself out first. Chapter 2303. After being scolded by Zhao Baoshan, Hua Chunhua wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes. I don't care. Anyway, if my daughter can't do it, I won't be in the mood to eat. You're the only one who's magnanimous. Your daughter is already like this, but you don't even fart. You don't even care about her. It's not like she's your daughter. Why is she so pitiful to have such a heartless father like you? The corner of Zhao Baoshan's mouth twitched. This old woman's words were too infuriating. Could it be that he, an old man in his 20s, had to cry like a woman? What kind of joke was that? The scandal today had already embarrassed him enough, and he was being mocked by the other people in the village. If he still cried and made a fuss now, who knew how many people would continue to laugh at him later on? When one was old, what they cared about the most was their reputation. He didn't want to become the target of ridicule before he died. As for Zhao Xinhui, speaking of which, he was also full of anger. Even if she had hooked up with the Qin Yuan, she didn't have to be so ostentatious like today. He didn't know where she learned from. She didn't go home when she had a home, but ran to the grassland every day to have sex. Wasn't she deliberately letting others catch her? In addition, she was unlucky today to have met Lord Li Zheng, so she had to be punished for this matter. Zhao Baoshan's only worry now was that this matter would spread throughout the surrounding villages. After all, bad news spread far and wide. He didn't want old Zhao's family to be mocked by the surrounding villages. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to go out and meet people. Is there any use for me to worry? Will my daughter wake up after yelling at her a few times like you? What are you talking about? Zhao Baoshan snorted in displeasure. Hua Chunhua sobbed. If you want to eat, you old man can eat. Don't worry about me. If doesn't wake up, I'll have to call Dr. Sun over to take a look. I don't want anything to happen to her. Fine. I won't care about you. Old woman, you can do whatever you want. It's none of my business anyway. Zhao Baoshan replied angrily, then got up and walked in the direction of Zhao Yiner's house. When Zhao Baoshan came over, Zhao Wenhua went forward and asked Zhao Xinhui's condition. Zhao Baoshan's head and Zhao Baoshan's mother. Zhao Xinhui's SSS heart. Zhao Yunlong was worried for Zhao Xinhui. After all, she was his sister. Even if Zhao Xinhui had done something wrong, he did not want Zhao Xinhui to lose her life. Zhao Yunlong comforted Zhao Baoshan and then began to prepare for the banquet. The originally lively wedding was disrupted by today's incident. The atmosphere in old Zhao's house was a little gloomy, and there was no sense of joy like before. But there was nothing the third branch could do. If they had known in advance, they would have stopped it. After the family had dinner together, they went back to their own homes. They didn't have the mood to make a scene in the bridal chamber. However, it gave Zhao Tianan and Mu Hin a chance to have some peace and quiet. Zhao Tianan could only enter his bridal chamber to see Mu Hin at night. Mu Xan had been waiting alone in the bridal chamber for a long time. In the middle, only the third branch had sent her some food. After that, she was the only one left. She was bored to death. She heard some sporadic conversations outside the bridal chamber. She knew that something big had happened in the family today, but no one told her. As soon as Zhao Tianan came, Mu Hin's mood rose a lot. She was a little excited. Chapter 2304. As soon as Zhao Tianan entered the room, Mu Hin smelled the alcohol on him and asked with concern, Tianan, how are you feeling? Are you feeling unwell? A person's body would feel uncomfortable after drinking too much. Zhao Tianan smelled so strongly of alcohol, so he must have drunk a lot. At the thought of this, Mu Hin's heart was full of worry. Zhao Tianan only felt that his chest was stuffy, and his head was a little swollen. After drinking so much alcohol, he did feel a little uncomfortable. Unlike those who could drink, no matter how much they drank, nothing serious would happen to them. However, he was different. After drinking, his body felt very uncomfortable. However, this was his first marriage in his life, and it was very inappropriate for him to refuse to drink at this time. For such a joyous occasion, in accordance with tradition, he had to resist the urge to drink more. Now that he had entered the bridal chamber, he only felt that his whole body was empty. Finally, he could stop drinking and go see his wife. He had been thinking about Mu Hin since this morning and had been thinking about her all day. He was very anxious, and now they were finally in the bridal chamber. Zhao Tianan quickly quickened his pace and walked toward Mu Hin. When he sat down next to Mu Hin, he smiled and replied, I'm fine. That's good. Mu Hin responded bitterly. Zhao Tianan had already grabbed Mu Hin's hands and held them tightly. With a happy expression, he said excitedly, Xin, I finally married you today and became your husband. From now on, you are my wife and we will live happily in the future. Mama. Mu Hin responded. She was full of anticipation for Zhao Tianan's words. Tianan, hurry up and take off the veil on my head. Mu Hin urged somewhat impatiently. She couldn't take off the red veil on her head herself. It had to be done by the groom. Only then did Zhao Tianan react. He was so excited that he didn't even know to remove the red veil. Before taking off Mu Hin's red veil, Zhao Tianan was looking forward to it. She wondered what Mu Hin looked like under the red veil. Looking at the new clothes that Mu Hin was wearing today, she was exceptionally beautiful. Her face must be even more beautiful. After removing the red veil, Zhao Tianan was pleasantly surprised by Mu Hin's outfit. She did not expect Mu Hin to be so beautiful. Her beautiful face was fair with a tinge of red, and her long eyelashes were like a pair of butterfly wings under the light. Her delicate little face and thin lips made her look especially charming. He knew that Mu Hin was delicate and pretty, but he didn't know that Mu Hin would be so beautiful after dressing up. Especially with the pearl hairpin on her head, she looked like a delicate and beautiful flower. Looking at such a beautiful bride, Zhao Tianan felt his heart skip a beat. Then he couldn't help but praise, Xin, you're really beautiful today. A tinge of red appeared on Mu Hin's cheeks, and she lowered her head in embarrassment. She didn't dare to look into Zhao Tianan's eyes. She had only just seen Zhao Tianan's handsome appearance today. No wonder her sister praised him. After seeing him, she knew that Mu Lan was not exaggerating. Zhao Tianan was indeed much more handsome than usual today. Such a groom would naturally charm a group of young ladies. Zhao Tianan knew that Mu Hin was embarrassed and so was he. Both of them were thin-skinned, but one of them had to take the initiative to enter the bridal chamber first. Chapter 2305. Zhao Tianan moved closer to Mu Hin shyly and whispered into Mu Hin's ear, Xin, don't lower your head. You're so beautiful today. Let me take a good look at you. It would have been better if Zhao Tianan hadn't said anything. Once he did, Mu Hin became even more shy. She lowered her head and replied softly and shyly, Tianan, Xin, we're husband and wife now. You don't have to be so shy in front of me. Zhao Tianan took Mu Hin's hand and said earnestly. After hearing Zhao Tianan's words, Mu Hin slowly raised her head. The two of them looked at each other and they both looked a little shy. Zhao Tianan's handsome appearance today made Mu Hin feel like she couldn't get enough of him. She was so lucky to be able to marry such a man. She probably had no idea how many people were envious of her. At the thought of officially becoming Zhao Tianan's wife from today onward, Mu Hin was full of anticipation and excitement for their future life. The two of them looked at each other for a while and felt the atmosphere slowly warming up. Zhao Tianan moved closer to Mu Hin and said, Xin, it's already very late. We're going to consummate our marriage. At the mention of consummating their marriage, Mu Hin's face suddenly flushed red like a monkey's butt. That was because she knew what it meant to have sex with Zhao Tianan, and that was to do embarrassing things with him. In fact, her heart was also full of anticipation, but she was also a little nervous and embarrassed. After all, that kind of thing was too intimate. Tianan? Zhao Tianan saw Mu Hin's shyness and said, Xin, we're husband and wife now. It's only right for us to do this kind of thing. We're going to have babies together in the future. Mu Hin nodded shyly and responded. She married the man she liked. Her happiness wasn't to give birth to his children. However, when giving birth to a child, they had to consummate their marriage. Xin. Zhao Tianan was getting closer to Mu Hin. He reached out and was about to take off Mu Hin's clothes. Mu Hin's heart clenched as he realized what Zhao Tianan was about to do. He hurriedly stopped him. Tianan, what happened? Zhao Tianan was stunned. He thought that Mu Hin was unwilling, so he felt a trace of disappointment and sadness in his heart. Mu Hin blushed and asked, Is there anyone outside? She had previously mentioned that there were many newlyweds who could eavesdrop from behind the door or through the windows. That was why she was embarrassed. If someone heard her, how embarrassing would that be? Zhao Tianan pondered for a few seconds and replied uncertainly, I don't think so. Why would there be people outside? He had just seen his parents and the rest of the family wash up and then go back to their rooms. Mu Hin was a little worried and said to Zhao Tianan, Go take a look and confirm it. Zhao Tianan nodded and got up to open the door. He then opened the window to take a look. After confirming that there was no one outside, he returned to Mu Hin's side. Xin, there's really no one outside. Can we consummate our marriage now? Zhao Tianan was a little impatient. It was said that every minute of the night was worth 1,000 gold. He had tasted that feeling before and he still missed it. However, before he married Mu Hin, he and Mu Hin had maintained a level of restraint. Other than that one accident, they had never done it. However, that didn't mean that he didn't want it. As a normal man, how could he not have such needs? Chapter 2306. She was his wife. They were getting married today and consummating their marriage at night. They should do what they should do now. However, when Zhao Tianan approached Mu Hin again, he was stopped by Mu Hin again. Xa, what's wrong? Are you unwilling? If you're unwilling, I won't force you. Let's sleep now. Although Zhao Tianan wanted to, he still respected Mu Hin. If Mu Hin didn't agree, he didn't want to force her to do something she didn't like. Mu Hin blushed and shook her head. No. Tianan, there's light in the room. Can you blow out the candles first? Mu Hin's voice was very small when she said this, as if she was very nervous. After saying this, she lowered her head even more. Zhao Tianan knew that Mu Hin was embarrassed, so he went to blow out the candles. This time, when he approached Mu Hin again, Mu Hin didn't refuse. Zhao Tianan got to eat meat as he wished. The two's intimate moment was even more precious. After a night of torment, both of them felt sore all over when they woke up the next day. When they woke up, it was already 9 o'clock in the morning. The sun was already shining through the window. The rest of old Zhao's family had also woken up, except for the two of them. However, Zhao Yun'er's family was very understanding. After all, it was a night of intimacy, so it was normal for them to sleep too late and wake up late the next day. When Mu Hin entered the house, Zhao Yun'er's family was very happy to have another member. Especially Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao, who already had grandchildren, now hoped that Mu Hin could give their third branch a few grandchildren. Mu Hin woke up in the morning and ate breakfast under Zhao Yun'er's warm hospitality. She looked very embarrassed. When other people married into their in-laws' family, they had to wake up early every day to serve their in-laws. However, she was lazy on the first day and slept until this time. Mu Hin was afraid that she would leave a bad impression on Zhao Yun'er's family. However, she found that her worries were unnecessary. Zhao Yun'er's family was very nice. They did not say a word about her. Instead, they were considerate and concerned about her. To be able to marry into such a family, Mu Hin felt that she had already reaped the blessings of 8 lifetimes. On top of that, she married the man she loved, which made her think that the heavens were looking out for her. In the morning, Zhao Ping'er and Ma Xiaofeng went to the restaurant in the town. Now that Qin Yuan was bedridden, the restaurant really needed someone to take care of it. Zhao Ping'er knew that Qin Yuan had no one to take care of him. Therefore, when she went to the restaurant this time, she entrusted most of the restaurant's matters to Ma Xiaofeng. She asked Ma Xiaofeng to help her take care of the restaurant during this period. She did not have to worry about the restaurant's matters and could devote herself to taking care of Qin Yuan's injury. Ma Xiaofeng took over the restaurant. In fact, Zhao Ping'er and Qin Yuan did not do much before. Basically, the restaurant's management was all Ma Xiaofeng's ideas. Zhao Ping'er and Qin Yuan did not play a big role. If it were not for Ma Xiaofeng's clever mind, which was better than Zhao Ping'er and Qin Yuan's scheming, the restaurant's business would not be as good as it was now. Zhao Ping'er trusted Ma Xiaofeng completely. Naturally, she was relieved to leave the restaurant to her. After arranging the restaurant's matters, Zhao Ping'er rushed back to Shuilan village from Yang City. She could not wait to see how Qin Yuan was doing. Chapter 2307. Qin Yuan was her only hope. She only hoped that he could be well. Only then would everything she did now be worth it. Among the things she bought, there were tremella, longan, red dates, brown sugar and so on. They were all things that nourished the blood. This time, Qin Yuan was hit 50 times with the plank, and quite a lot of blood seeped out of his buttocks. Since yesterday, Qin Yuan's face had been pale. It was obvious that his blood was insufficient. Thus, she should buy some things that nourished the blood. This way, Qin Yuan could recover faster. Once she returned to the third branch, Zhao Ping'er went straight to Qin Yuan's room to check on Qin Yuan's situation. At this time, Qin Yuan was already awake. He lay on the bed not daring to move. Because his buttocks were injured, he could not lie down to sleep. After lying on the bed for such a long time, there was an indescribable soreness all over his body. If he were to crawl for a while longer, his body would probably be crippled. "Big brother Yuan, how are you?" Zhao Ping'er asked with concern. Qin Yuan said with a bitter face, "My body hurts. My buttocks also hurt." Sigh. Zhao Ping'er sighed heavily, her face full of heartache. If only she was the one who was suffering right now, it just had to be Qin Yuan. It was a pity that this kind of pain could not be transferred. No matter how uncomfortable Qin Yuan was, he could only bear it alone. Big brother Yuan, just bear with it for a while more. It will slowly get better. Zhao Ping consoled him. Qin Yuan gritted his teeth and replied, I know. Even if he did not bear with it, there was no other way. If he wanted to blame someone, he could only blame himself for having to have sex with Zhao Xinhui in the wild. Otherwise, he would not have been discovered by others, causing him to suffer such pain. However, there was no medicine for regret in this world. What happened was what happened. Big brother Yuan, rest well. If there's anything you need me for, just let me know. I've already handed the restaurant over to Little Feng to manage. From today onwards, I'll accompany you at all times to take care of you. You must be bored in the house by yourself. Not only can I take care of you, but I can also chat with you to pass the time. It's better than you being alone in the house. Zhao Ping said to Qin Yuan with a smile. Qin Yuan looked at the woman in front of him with gratitude. Only Zhao Ping stayed by his side to take care of him without any complaints. He was afraid that he would owe her more and more. Zhao Ping, you are a good woman. I was blind in the past. I didn't know how to cherish you, Qin Yuan said. He had never said such a thing before, but this time he said it from the bottom of his heart. Zhao Ping was touched and happy when she heard it. She held Qin Yuan's hand and said with a smile, Big brother Yuan, it's enough to hear you say that. Let the past be the past. As long as we are together now, it's fine as long as we live well together. Qin Yuan nodded heavily in response. Then he suddenly thought of Zhao Xinhui. Compared to Zhao Ping, Zhao Xinhui was clearly much colder. He knew that Zhao Xinhui didn't truly love him. Or rather, even if Zhao Xinhui loved him, Zhao Xinhui definitely loved herself more than she loved him. She had also received 30 paddles this time. Originally she was already injured and her body wasn't good. He didn't know if she could survive this time. Although Zhao Xinhui had broken his heart, Qin Yuan still couldn't help but ask about Zhao Xinhui's situation because of his feelings for her. Ping, how is your aunt now? Zhao Ping was slightly stunned. Then, a hint of jealousy appeared on her face. Chapter 2308. Her aunt was such a bad woman. Why was Big Brother Yuan so obsessed with her? Could it be that he did not remember what she did and said to him yesterday? Could it be that he still wanted to stick to her? It was said that women loved bad men. Could it be that this saying applied to women as well? Men loved bad women too? Was it because her aunt was bad that she seduced her Big Brother Yuan? Seeing Zhao Ping's displeasure and jealousy, Qin Yuan hurriedly said, Ping, don't misunderstand. I was just casually asking. If you don't like it, I won't ask any more. Zhao Ping sighed. She was not used to Qin Yuan's attitude. After all, she was used to Qin Yuan's modesty. Zhao Ping said, Big Brother Yuan, my aunt's condition is much worse than yours. I heard from my grandfather last night that she still hasn't woken up at night. Oh. Qin Yuan responded. Zhao Xinhui's condition was indeed much worse than his. He just did not know if something big would happen. Even if Zhao Xinhui treated him like that and made him feel a little bitterly disappointed, Qin Yuan was clear that he had implicated Zhao Xinhui in this matter. After all, he was the one who liked Zhao Xinhui first and took the initiative to pester Zhao Xinhui. And it was also him who suggested to have sex in the open to seek excitement when he was discovered. Even if his fate with Zhao Xinhui was over in the future, he still did not wish for anything to happen to Zhao Xinhui in his heart. Zhao Ping pursed her lips and said to Qin Yuan, Big Brother Yuan, don't worry about her. Whatever happens to her, she asked for it. The most important thing is for you to take care of your own injuries. Big Brother Yuan, you're hungry now. I'll go prepare some food for you. I bought many tonics from Yang City today. I'll go and stew some longans for you now. Qin Yuan was still thinking about Zhao Xinhui, so he nodded absent-mindedly when Zhao Ping talked to him. Zhao Xinhui carried his things and walked out of the house. When he arrived at the kitchen, he saw Mu Hin sitting idly in the courtyard. He was a little displeased. In Zhao Ping's opinion, it was all because Mu Hin took away Zhao Tianan that Ma Xiaofeng couldn't be with Zhao Tianan. Because of Zhao Tianan's marriage, Ma Xiaofeng was very sad yesterday and she saw it all. At this moment, Zhao Ping couldn't help but feel indignant for Ma Xiaofeng. Ma Xiaofeng was clearly so much better than Mu Hin. Why did this silly brother of hers take things too hard and choose Mu Hin instead of Ma Xiaofeng? Perhaps it was because Mu Hin's vixen methods were too powerful, and Ma Xiaofeng couldn't beat her, so he lost. Mu Hin also felt Zhao Ping's scorching gaze on him. He stood up a little fearfully and called out to Zhao Ping, Big sister. Zhao Ping was Zhao Tianan's big sister after all. Now that she was married to Zhao Tianan, Zhao Ping was also her big sister. As for Zhao Ping'er, no matter whether she liked her or not, and no matter what grudges they had in the past, she had to maintain respect for Zhao Ping'er for Zhao Tianan's sake. Zhao Ping'er rolled her eyes at Mu Hin and said sarcastically, "You're so free sitting there doing nothing. Did the Zhao family marry you back to treat you like an ancestor?" After being scolded by Zhao Ping'er like this, Mu Hin lowered his head and didn't know what to say. In fact, she also wanted to help with the chores, but Zhao Yun'er and Liang Jinxiao both rushed to do the chores. She also woke up late, so there were many things that she didn't have a chance to intervene. Chapter 2309. After being scolded by Zhao Ping'er, Mu Hin walked up to Zhao Ping'er and asked weakly, "Big sister, is there anything I can help you with?" Although Mu Hin had already taken a step back and showed a good attitude, Zhao Ping'er was still not tactful. She rolled her eyes at Mu Hin and then stuffed the longan and red dates in her hand into Mu Hin's hand. She ordered her aggressively, "Hurry up and help me stew the longan. I want to make it for my husband. He needs it to nourish his body." Mu Hin took the longan from Zhao Ping'er's hand and immediately nodded. "Okay, big sister, I'll go now." Although she felt uncomfortable being treated like this by Zhao Ping'er, she knew that since she was the daughter-in-law of the Zhao family, she had to be respectful to the Zhao family. For Zhao Tianan's sake, she had to endure it. Mu Hin took the things into the kitchen and began to help Zhao Ping'er stew the longan. Zhao Ping'er pursed her lips and looked at Mu Hin with displeasure. However, she did not continue to argue with Mu Hin. Instead, she turned around and went into Qin Yuan's house to continue accompanying Qin Yuan. Naturally, Mu Hin did not have to worry about this matter. She was not worried that Mu Hin would steal the longan. If Mu Hin really did steal the longan, she could not wait. She could use this matter to make a fuss in front of Zhao Tianan and let his younger brother know what kind of person Mu Hin was. At this time, Zhao Yun'er was at old Zhao's house. She had borrowed a lot of bowls and chopsticks from old Zhao's family during the banquet yesterday. Now she was here to return them the bowls and chopsticks. When she arrived at old Zhao's house, she found that the atmosphere in old Zhao's house was a bit gloomy. When Zhao Yun'er returned the things to Chen Zhonghu, she asked casually, "Fourth aunt, did something happen to our family?" Chen Zhonghu sighed and pulled Zhao Yun'er to the side. She whispered to Zhao Yun'er, "Yun'er, it's your aunt. What's wrong with my aunt? Didn't Dr. Sun take a look at her yesterday? In the end, your aunt didn't wake up at night. Dr. Sun said that your aunt's condition has worsened. She doesn't know if it will endanger her life. Dr. Sun said that if she doesn't wake up in the next 2 days, she might not make it." Chen Zhonghu sighed secretly. After all, Dr. Sun said that she should be able to save her life. Old Zhao's family was relieved because of this. Who knew that in the blink of an eye, her condition had worsened? If she didn't wake up in a few days, she might not make it. Didn't that mean that Zhao Xinhui would die at a young age? Although Zhao Xinhui was usually a bit too arrogant, she wasn't a bad person. Her personality was spoiled by Hua Chunhua, so her nature was still considered pure. She was only in her 20s now. She was in the prime of her youth. It would be a pity if she died at this time. The most important thing was that Hua Chunhua and Zhao Baoshan had to send off their own children. How sad would that be? As her brothers and sisters-in-law, they couldn't bear to see such a scene. Zhao Xinhui was in the wrong. It was enough to punish her 30 times with the paddle. If she lost her life, it was still too much. Zhao Yun'er didn't feel much. Zhao Xinhui was such a scourge, and she was the one who caused her to end up like this. She reaped what she sowed, so there was naturally no sympathy. Chapter 2310. Chen Zhui sighed and said, "Yes, life and death are fated. I just hope that your aunt will be blessed by the heavens this time. Your grandpa and grandma were guarding your sister-in-law the whole night last night? They're already so old. How can their bodies endure staying up all night? They can only relax if your aunt wakes up earlier. Otherwise they'll probably collapse from exhaustion." Chen Zhui was full of worry as she spoke. Her family had tried to persuade Zhao Baoshan and Hua Chunhua, but the old couple refused to listen. They didn't care whether they were tired or not and just stayed by Zhao Xinhui's side. Zhao Yun'er couldn't help but shake her head. This Zhao Xinhui was really harming others and himself. As long as he kept a distance from Qin Yuan, he wouldn't implicate her, and old Zhao's family wouldn't worry about her. Speaking of which, Zhao Xinhui could be considered a mistress in someone else's marriage. Mistresses didn't have good endings since ancient times. It was better in ancient times, but in the 21st century, wouldn't Zhao Xinhui be hacked to pieces by his first wife? There's no point in being anxious. We can only wait. Fourth aunt, return the things to me. I'll be leaving first. Okay, go back. Qian Jue nodded. She didn't want to add to the troubles of old Zhao's family with Zhao Yun'er. When Zhao Yun'er returned home, she saw Mu Hin busy in the kitchen. Zhao Yun'er quickly ran over and said to Mu Hin, Xin rest first. Let me do the work. Don't worry so much about family matters. You must be tired from last night, right? Rest well today. Zhao Yun'er knew that the newlyweds had a lot of fun last night. She was worried that Mu Hin's body couldn't take it, so she stopped her and didn't let her do more work. When Mu Hin heard Zhao Yun'er's words, she blushed and lowered her head shyly. Zhao Yun'er smiled awkwardly. She had forgotten that Mu Hin was a shy girl, unlike Mu Lan. She could talk about such things openly with Mu Lan, but she could not do so in front of Mu Hin. Zhao Yun'er couldn't help but mutter in her heart. They obviously came from the same womb. Why did Mu Lan not know how to be shy when talking to her about this kind of thing? But Mu Hin was so shy. However, when she thought of the gap between her and Zhao Yun'er, she felt that the gap between Mu Hin and Mu Lan was nothing. One had to know that the original owner had a delicate face, but Zhao Pinger's face was extremely ugly. Well, let's not dwell on this matter. Zhao Yun'er smiled and said to Mu Hin, You're married to Tianan, so you're my sister-in-law. I'm your second sister. There's nothing to be shy about between us. You and Tianan are husband and wife. Since you're already married, there's bound to be bedroom matters. Cough cough. If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask me directly. You can also ask Mu Lan's sister-in-law. Mu Hin's face turned even redder. Zhao Yun'er had never seen such a shy girl. She instantly regretted her words. Wasn't she a little too straightforward? Mu Xen was a little scared, however, she didn't know that Mu Hin's skin was so thin. She didn't even have a third of Mu Lan's skin. It seemed that she had to discuss with Mu Lan later and let Mu Lan teach her sister well. Mu Hin hesitated for a few seconds before responding. Her voice was as soft as a mosquito's. If it wasn't for the lack of noise in the room, Zhao Yun'er probably wouldn't have heard it. Chapter 23:11. Sister Ping asked me to stew longan and red dates for brother-in-law to nourish his body. Mu Hin explained truthfully. Zhao Yun'er frowned when she heard this. She was a little angry. What was Zhao Pinger doing? Qin agreed to stay in Qin Yuan and kindly took them in. But Zhao Ping, didn't she know that she was living under someone else's roof? Did she really think of this place as her own home? It was fine if she was a little arrogant outside, but when she stayed in someone else's house, she acted like a tyrant. Now she actually liked to work for Mu Hin? Zhao Yun'er had already imagined the scene of Zhao Pinger ordering Mu Hin to work. She knew that Zhao Pinger was unhappy with Mu Hin because of Ma Xiaofeng. This time she asked Mu Hin to stew longan and red dates, so she definitely didn't have a good attitude. Mu Hin's personality was relatively soft, and she was always modest. Even if Zhao Pinger went overboard, Mu Hin definitely wouldn't take issue with Zhao Pinger. But that didn't mean that Zhao Yun'er didn't take issue with it. Zhao Yun'er held Mu Hin's hand and asked, Did she order you to do this? Seeing Zhao Yun'er's gloomy face, Mu Hin was slightly shocked. She was afraid that Zhao Yun'er would quarrel with Zhao Pinger because of her. She felt that it wasn't worth it. After all, she had only been married for a day. If the third branch quarreled and had conflicts because of her, she would feel uncomfortable. This would make her feel that she was a troublemaker and that everything was because of her. When faced with Zhao Yun'er's question, Mu Hin said gently, Sister Yun'er, it's just stewing longan and red dates. It's not a big deal. Although it was indeed as Mu Hin had said, this was just a small matter, the significance was different. Then she must have ordered you to do it. This Zhao Pinger? Zhao Yun'er clenched her fists, making cracking sounds. She gritted her teeth and prepared to find Zhao Pinger to settle the score. Mu Hin hurriedly stopped Zhao Yun'er. Sister Yun'er, it's just a small matter. You don't have to look for Sister Pinger. Forget it. I can't let this go. I have to let her know who has the final say in this family. If she can't recognize her position here, then she doesn't need to stay here anymore. XNXN, don't stop me. You have to know that with Zhao Pinger's character, there will be a second time after the first time. The more you give in to her, the angrier she will be. In order to prevent her from continuing to bully you, you have to settle the score when it's time. Ignoring Mu Hin's obstruction, Zhao Yun'er directly rushed into Qin Yuan's house. Mu Hin could only follow behind Zhao Yun'er anxiously. She was worried that Zhao Pinger would misunderstand that she had deliberately said bad things in front of Zhao Yun'er. If she had known this would happen, she wouldn't have replied to Zhao Yun'er like that. After hesitating for a few seconds, Mu Hin hurriedly followed after her. The moment they entered Qin Yuan's house, Zhao Yuner coldly called out Zhao Pinger's name. Zhao Pinger. Zhao Pinger looked up unhappily. Zhao Yuner, what are you shouting for? Can't you see that my big brother Yuan is injured and needs to recuperate? Then come out. Zhao Pinger was afraid that Zhao Yuner would disturb Qin Yuan. Qin Yuan unwillingly followed Zhao Yuner out of the house. Zhao Yuner, did you eat a firecracker? Why are you looking for me with such a huge temper? Zhao Pinger asked in annoyance. However, just as she spoke, Zhao Yuner slapped Zhao Pinger hard across the face. She only heard his slap. After a few seconds of sluggishness, she recalled Zhao Pinger's shrill scream. Chapter 23:12. Zhao Yun, have you been bitten by a mad dog? Why are you making trouble for me again? What have I done? Aren't you being too much of a bully? She slapped me for no reason. If it weren't for the fact that Qin Yuan had to stay with the third branch, based on Zhao Pinger's temper, she would have rushed up and fought with Zhao Yuner. She was being too much of a bully for no reason. At this moment, her face was burning with pain. Zhao Pinger couldn't help but worry about her face. She was already ugly enough. Now that her face was swollen from the slap, wouldn't it become even uglier? Why am I making trouble for you? Don't you know it in your heart? Zhao Yuner replied unhappily. Know what? Zhao Pinger was a little confused. When did she provoke Zhao Yuner? This time it was clearly out of the blue. You don't know what you've done? Zhao Yuner, if you have something to say, just say it. Don't beat around the bush. I don't know what you're talking about either. All right, since you don't know, I'll tell you. I want to ask who gave you the right to order Mu Hin around. Zhao Yuner's eyes had a hint of sharpness. Zhao Pinger was stunned and said with disdain, she's Tianan's daughter-in-law and I'm Tianan's older sister. As the eldest sister, can't I order my younger sister-in-law around? She's a woman who married into our family. If she doesn't work for us, should we treat her like an ancestor? Zhao Yuner, even if this matter is brought up in front of others, I'm not necessarily unreasonable. What right do you have to slap me because of this? Aren't you going too far? Who do you think you are? Zhao Pinger, father and mother don't want to have anything to do with you. We're taking you and Qin Yuan in now. Please understand your position in this family. You're just a married woman. You don't have the right to meddle in the family's affairs. Moreover, you and the Qin Yuan are both living under someone else's roof, so you'd better behave yourselves. If you say that you're making me unhappy, I'll tell you to scram right now. When Mu Hin marries into our family, you can let her serve her in-laws and take good care of her husband. But you don't have the qualifications to work for an outsider. If there's a next time, you know the consequences. Zhao Yuner said with a serious face and gave Zhao Pinger a warning look. Zhao Pinger was very unhappy, but she was shocked by Zhao Yuner's words. Zhao Yuner understood Zhao Pinger's temperament. She meant what she said and she was very ruthless. If he was really kicked out by Zhao Yuner, how could Qin Yuan's body take it? For the sake of Qin Yuan, even if Zhao Pinger felt wronged, she still gritted her teeth and endured it. After seeing Zhao Pinger tactfully nod her head, Zhao Yuner restrained her anger and let Zhao Pinger go. Because of this, Zhao Pinger hated Mu Hin even more. It must be this B*TCH who ran to Zhao Yuner to complain. Zhao Tianan must be blind to marry such a woman. Zhao Pinger suppressed the anger in her heart and returned to Qin Yuan's room. Qin Yuan heard the conversation outside the room just now. When he saw the slap mark on Zhao Pinger's face, he felt a touch of pain in his heart. He knew that Zhao Pinger was wrong because of him. In his heart he felt even more guilty towards Zhao Pinger. If it weren't for them living under someone else's roof, how could they tolerate Zhao Yuner's rampant behavior? So, what could they do? Chapter 23:13. Qin Yuan reached out and touched Zhao Pinger's face. He asked with concern, Pinger, does your face hurt a lot? Zhao Pinger was slightly stunned. She raised her head and glanced at Qin Yuan. This was the first time she saw Big Brother Yuan being so concerned about her. Moreover, he was speaking to her so softly. It was completely different from before. It was precisely because of this that Zhao Pinger felt flattered. This was because Qin Yuan was something she did not dare to hope for. Meeting Qin Yuan's eyes, Zhao Pinger bit her lower lip. She then shook her head and said, Big Brother Yuan, don't worry. It doesn't hurt. It's just a slap. It's okay. Zhao Pinger was afraid that Qin Yuan would be worried about her, so she deliberately said that it was okay. Actually, she was already very satisfied that Qin Yuan could speak to her so gently and be so concerned about her. How could she bear to let Qin Yuan worry about her again? Looking at Zhao Pinger's appearance, he sighed and said, Pinger, how can it not hurt? half of your face is swollen. So, it's all my fault. I've implicated you. If we weren't living under someone else's roof, how could we have endured such grievances? Ping-er. I'm really useless. I'm really not a man. As Qin Yuan said this, a look of frustration appeared on his face. Zhao Ping-er hurriedly held Qin Yuan's hand and said to Qin Yuan, Big brother Yuan, don't say that. This has nothing to do with you. You're injured, so we have to recuperate properly. Zhao Yun-er is arrogant, so let her be for now. As long as your injury recovers, as long as Big brother Yuan is fine, everything will be worth it. Qin Yuan did not know how to describe his current feelings. Looking at Zhao Ping-er in front of him, Qin Yuan only felt that Zhao Ping-er was a foolish woman. Because he had treated her so well in the past, why did she continue to do so much for him without hesitation? Other than his face being slightly fairer, what other part of him was worthy of being treated well? The more Qin Yuan thought about it, the more guilty he felt. He swore to himself that he would never betray Zhao Ping-er in this life. Otherwise he wouldn't be a human anymore. Ping-er, don't say that. Other than taking care of me, you should also take care of yourself. You're pregnant. We have to take good care of our child. I hope you can give birth to a chubby boy for me this time. Qin Yuan looked at Zhao Ping-er with even more warmth in his eyes. Zhao Ping-er was so excited that she almost cried. She didn't expect that Qin Yuan would still talk to her. Because ever since she got pregnant, Qin Yuan refused to admit that the child in her belly was his. He kept saying that she was pregnant with her stupid brother's child. Now, not only did he admit it, but he also told her to take good care of herself. Zhao Ping-er felt that the world was changing too quickly. Qin Yuan's sincerity made her feel that all her previous efforts were worth it. Yes. Big brother Yuan, I know. It's only been a few months, so it won't be a problem. I'll have to be more careful when I'm pregnant and can't move freely. Right now, the most important thing is to take care of your injuries. Zhao Ping-er smiled and replied to Qin Yuan. The redness and swelling on her face didn't hurt that much anymore. Perhaps it was because her heart was sweet, so she could ignore everything else. Zhao Ping-er felt that she had benefited a lot from the exposure of Qin Yuan and Zhao Xinhui's relationship. At least through this incident, Qin Yuan could see clearly what kind of person her aunt was, and Qin Yuan returned to her side. Chapter 23:14. She had to buy some things for Ma Xiaofeng when she got back so that she could give Xiaofeng a good makeover. At the thought of Ma Xiaofeng, Zhao Ping-er recalled what Ma Xiaofeng had said to her previously. Ma Xiaofeng had said that she could ask a famous doctor in Yang City to see if he could remove the birthmark on her face. If she could remove the birthmark and whiten her skin, she might not become a great beauty, but she could at least be as delicate and pretty as Ma Xiaofeng. Although Qin Yuan had accepted her and wanted to live a good life with her, she still felt a little inferior. But Zhao Ping-er still felt inferior. When she stood next to Qin Yuan, she felt that her face was not good enough for Qin Yuan. Only when she became beautiful and not as ugly as she was now would they look more compatible when she stood next to Qin Yuan. Moreover, there was still a long way to go. Everything was still unknown. Qin Yuan had just been injured and was lying in bed, unable to move. In the end, she had stayed by his side to take care of him. He was only willing to live a good life with her because he was touched. Who knew whether or not Qin Yuan would slowly forget what he had said today after he had recovered from his injuries? If he met those good-looking and seductive little vixens again, wouldn't Qin Yuan be seduced by them again? After all men like beautiful women. Just in case, she had to make herself as beautiful as those women outside. Only then would she not have to worry about Qin Yuan being snatched away. Big brother Yuan. I plan to go to Yang City to see a doctor in a few days. Qin Yuan was slightly taken aback. He hurriedly asked with concern, Ping-er, are you feeling unwell? Zhao Ping-er hurriedly shook her head. No, I'm going to have my face looked at. My face looks like this. If the doctor sees it, he might be able to treat me. In the past, I didn't have money, so I had no choice. Now that I have money, I want to see if my face can be treated. Qin Yuan nodded when he heard that. He knew that women love beauty very much. Zhao Ping-er was no exception. Moreover, Zhao Ping-er was born ugly. Nowadays, no woman would be able to stand having such a face. Qin Yuan was very supportive of Zhao Ping-er's plan. He nodded and said, Okay Ping-er, go ahead. Do whatever you want to do. I support you. Zhao Ping-er was very touched. She nodded heavily and replied, NN. Big brother Yuan, you're so nice. While Zhao Ping-er and Qin Yuan were whispering sweet nothings to each other in the room, Zhao Yun'er went to Mu Hin and told Mu Hin, Xin, if Zhao Ping-er dares to bully you or order you around again, you have to learn how to refuse, okay? If she does this again you have to tell me. Mu Hin nodded in response. At this moment she felt a little guilty in her heart. Because Zhao Pinger was slapped by Zhao Yuner, she reckoned that Zhao Pinger hated her to death in her heart now. Sigh. She reckoned that there was no way to mend her relationship with Zhao Pinger. It was still fine if Zhao Pinger was not her elder sister. A person who was unrelated to her did not care whether their relationship was good or bad. With this layer of relationship with Zhao Yuner, it was better to maintain a good relationship with her so that everyone would feel comfortable in their hearts. In the next few days Zhao Pinger was more well-behaved. She knew that she was living under someone else's roof and knew her place. Basically, she did everything herself. At old Zhao's house, Zhao Xinhui finally woke up on the third day. Hua Chunhua and Zhao Baoshan both heaved a sigh of relief. If they waited any longer and Zhao Xinhui still did not wake up, they reckoned that they would really have to pay with their lives. Chapter 23:15. Yili was quite skilled. His kung fu was even better than Mu Lianfeng's. Dao worshipped Yili a lot and asked Yili to teach him kung fu all day long. Yili was very patient. Even though Dao was only a few years old, he didn't look down on Dao at all. In Yili's words, it was a good thing to practice kung fu from a young age. Also, Dao had a good physique and was very suitable for practicing kung fu. Previously Yili taught Dao some kung fu. Because Dao was too young, he didn't learn very quickly. After Dao digested the kung fu, Yili would teach him another kung fu. She saw how Yili treated Dao and doted on him like he was his own son. Zhao Yuner couldn't help but want Dao to acknowledge Yili as his godfather. It would be good for her child to have another father to dote on him. She could tell that Yili liked Dao a lot and was very responsible. During the time that Yili lived at Zhao Yuner's house, the biggest benefit that Zhao Yuner felt was that they could eat wild game from time to time. Because Yili was skilled, he had to go to the mountains often and he could bring back some wild game every time he went. Sometimes it was wild rabbits, sometimes it was pheasants, sometimes it was deer. These things might not be available even with money. Especially in the countryside, if they wanted to eat meat they had to go to town or Yang City to buy it. It was very inconvenient. The wild game that Yili brought back made it so that they didn't have to buy meat at all. On this day, Dao tugged at Yili's hand and looked up at Yili with his cute little face. Uncle Yi, are we going to the mountains today? Can we bring Dao with us? Yili looked down at the cute little bun and smiled. Dao wants to go to the mountains? Yes, I want to go. There's nothing to play at home. It's so boring. Let's go for a walk in the mountains. While he was at it, he would also look for his father. He's not at home all day long. Yili thought for a moment and nodded. All right then. Since Dao wants to go, Uncle Yi will accompany Dao up the mountain. Although it was a little dangerous on the mountain, Yili was pretty good at fighting. Even if he encountered any wild beasts, he could deal with them alone. Although Mu Lianfeng was good at fighting, he was not as good as Yili, who had undergone professional training. Mu Lianfeng might not be able to deal with a fierce white tiger, but Yili did not take it seriously at all. With Yili's protection, nothing would happen to Dao on the mountain. Zhao Yuner felt more at ease handing Dao over to Yili. Dao was very excited when he heard Yili nod in agreement. Uncle Yi is so nice. Let's go. Yili held a knife and a bow in his hands as he held Dao's hand and walked up the mountain. He brought the bow with him so that Dao could practice and see if he could catch prey. He had taught Dao archery before, but he practiced at home and could not test his true skills. It was only through hunting that he could train better. Yili agreed to bring Dao up the mountain so easily, not only to let Dao have some fun, but also to train Dao's archery skills. Before they set off, Yili informed Zhao Yuner so that she would not be anxious if she did not see Dao and Zhao Yuner. After a while, the two of them walked up the mountain and slowly disappeared into the forest. Dao looked around excitedly along the way. Yili led the way in front to prevent Dao from tripping or getting stabbed by the thorns along the way. Chapter 23:16. Fortunately, Dao was also very brave and strong. Although he was small in size, after learning martial arts from him for a period of time, his movements had become a lot more nimble. He walked very steadily, unlike a child who was only a few years old. The two of them walked towards the depths of the mountains. Along the way, Yili taught Dao how to identify all kinds of herbs. He taught Dao everything he recognized. Dao had a very good memory. Basically, he could remember everything Yili taught him once or twice. Shoo! Yili suddenly heard movement. He stopped in his tracks and made a shushing gesture to Dao. Dao nodded. After a while, the two of them discovered a plump rabbit emerging from the bushes. Yi Li immediately handed the bow in his hand to Daodu and said to Daodu, "Come, this is a good opportunity for you to practice. See if you can hit those rabbits." Daodu took the bow in Yi Li's hand and nodded heavily. According to what Yi Li had taught before, he pulled the crossbow and shot an arrow in the direction of the hare with his eyes like a torch. However, Daodu was only a few years old after all. He couldn't use too much strength, so the power of the bow was a little weak. Fortunately, the rabbit wasn't too far away. Daodu's arrow finally hit the rabbit's body. The rabbit fell to the ground after being hit. Blood began to flow out of the wounds on its body. "I hit it," Daodu cheered. Then he looked at Yi Li, waiting for Yi Li's praise. When Yi Li saw this, a satisfied smile appeared on his face. He patted Daodu's head and said exaggeratedly, "Daodu is awesome." Daodu's little face also overflowed with a happy smile. This success greatly boosted Daodu's confidence. He felt a sense of pride in his heart. Yi Li walked towards the rabbit and picked it up. He would bring it home and give it to Zhao Yuner. It would be another dish to go with wine. Yi Li felt that the happiest thing about living in Zhao Yuner's house was to enjoy the leisure time here. He could often see Zhao Yuner and eat Zhao Yuner's cooking. To him, this was a kind of happiness that he didn't dare to ask for in the past. Even though he knew that Zhao Yuner liked Mu Lianfeng and that she was with Mu Lianfeng, he was still very happy. In his opinion, it was fine as long as Zhao Yuner was happy. During these days at Zhao Yuner's house, Yi Li came into contact with Zhao Yuner's life. He saw Mu Lianfeng's love for Zhao Yuner and knew that there was another man who loved Zhao Yuner as deeply as she did. Yi Li was relieved to hand her over to him. He just needed to quietly protect Zhao Yuner's happiness. "Let's go. Let's continue looking and see if we can hunt more game back. Daodu is awesome today. I believe we can hunt more game." Yi Li encouraged Daodu. Daodu nodded heavily. He couldn't wait to continue trying his hand. The two of them walked deeper into the mountains for a while. Suddenly they heard the roar of a tiger. Yi Li's brows furrowed together and he became more vigilant. He hurriedly held Daodu in his arms. If the tiger rushed out, Daodu wouldn't be hurt. The tiger's roar was getting closer and closer. Amidst the tiger's roar, they heard a miserable cry. Yi Li's first reaction was that someone was attacked by a tiger. He had to go take a look so that he could save them. Yi Li first carried Daodu to a thick black tree trunk and told Daodu not to move and to wait for him to come back. After all, tigers were dangerous creatures. He had to ensure Daodu's safety first. Chapter 23:17. When he was about to reach the tiger. From afar he saw a few people confronting the tiger. These people were not dressed simply. From their clothes, he could tell that they were at least the children of wealthy families. The people in front of the tiger were wearing black brocade clothes and holding swords in their hands. They were very vigilant as they confronted the tiger. The person behind them was wearing bright yellow clothes. The cloth and embroidery on it showed different reactions. Moreover, this person had a different aura. Those people in black brocade clothes were obviously protecting the man in yellow clothes behind them. However, Yi Li did not think too much. The identity of these people was not important. What was important was that the tiger hurt people. The tiger opened its mouth and roared at those people. The tiger's roar spread through the forest. After roaring, the tiger pounced on those people. However, it was blocked by the people in black brocade clothes with long swords. However, they were still no match for the tiger. They could only keep retreating. The yellow-clothed man furrowed his brows tightly. Cold sweat oozed out of his forehead. Although they were not in danger for the time being, the tiger was indeed difficult to deal with. After the tiger roared, it was already difficult to deal with one tiger. Who knew that another tiger would appear in the forest? Although these people in black brocade robes were very skilled, it was still very strenuous for them to face these two behemoths. The people in black brocade clothes were divided into two groups and dealt with the two tigers separately. One of them could not hold on any longer. Just as the tiger almost pounced on the man in yellow, Yi Li leaped and slashed at the tiger with his long sword. His movements were nimble, but there was a ruthlessness in his actions. He did not hesitate to kill the tiger. His long sword pierced the tiger's vitals. The tiger fell to the ground in pain. Yi Li immediately pulled his long sword out of the tiger's body. The long sword pierced the tiger's eyes. The tiger lay on the ground and struggled. After a while it stopped moving. The other tiger was also killed by the people in black brocade clothes. The man in yellow was still in shock. Then he looked at Yi Li in front of him. If Yi Li had not acted in time, he might have been bitten by the tiger. Therefore he was very grateful to Yi Li. A few men in black robes surrounded the man in yellow nervously. Then one of them pointed his sword at Yi Li and asked coldly, Who are you? Because Yi Li's sudden appearance was too strange, they questioned Yi Li. If there was anything wrong with Yi Li, they had to deal with this man. The man in yellow also looked at Yi Li curiously. It was really hard to understand how a person like Yi Li, who was so skilled in kung fu, could be found in such a remote place. It would be better for them to be more cautious. Who knew if this person was here to assassinate him? Yi Li was a little unhappy between her eyebrows. He had clearly helped them get rid of the tiger and saved the yellow-clothed man from injury. In the end, not only did this group of people not appreciate his kindness, they even questioned him like this. Yi Li was not a very good-tempered person. He snorted, "Is this how you treat your savior? Tell us who you are. Otherwise, who would know why you saved him?" Chapter 23:18. However, when Yi Li saw the two tigers lying on the ground, he realized that it didn't take him much effort. The tiger's entire body was a treasure. He would bring them down the mountain and give them to Zhao Yuner later. The tiger's fur could be kept or sold for quite a bit of money. With Zhao Yuner's cooking skills, the tiger meat would definitely become a delicacy. The tiger's penis could be sold for medicine. Cough cough. It would be good to use it to boost Mu Lianfeng's stamina and let Zhao Yuner have more sexual bliss. The tigers could be soaked in medicine. The other parts of the tiger's body could also be kept and sold. In short, this trip was worth it. For the sake of the tigers, he decided not to bicker with these people. Thus, he squatted down and carried one of the tigers. It didn't take much effort to carry something that weighed 1 to 200 caddies up the mountain with Yi Li. However, it was a little troublesome to carry two tigers down the mountain at the same time. After all, Yi Li still had to take care of Dao Du later. He could only carry one tiger for now and leave the other one for later on the mountain. However, Yi Li's actions puzzled the man in black and the yellow-clothed gentleman. Could this person's goal be the two tigers? Nothing else? When the yellow-clothed gentleman saw Yi Li's arrogant attitude, he sized him up a little more. He could tell that Yi Li didn't have any enmity towards them. He was indeed here to save him. Thus he walked forward and smiled at Yi Li. "Young hero, I'm sorry. My guards were too rude. I apologize to you here. I hope you can forgive them. Also, thank you for your help just now. Otherwise, I might have really been injured by the tigers. Young hero, is there anything you would like to give me as a token of my gratitude?" Yi Li glanced at the yellow-clothed gentleman indifferently and said in an indifferent tone, "No need." After saying that, he proudly carried the tigers and walked forward. The leader of the group, a man in a black brocade robe, said to Yi Li angrily, "Don't be rude to our master." The yellow-clothed young master gestured with his hand. "This young hero is my savior. Tomorrow night, you are the one who is being rude." "Yes," Mingyu replied. Yi Li still couldn't be bothered to deal with these people. He didn't even stop and continued walking forward. When they reached the tree where Dao Du was, Yi Li first carried Dao Du down from the tree. Then he carried the tiger and carried Dao Du down the mountain. Dao Du's eyes lit up when he saw Yi Li kill the tiger. He looked at Yi Li excitedly and said to Yi Li, "Uncle Yi, you're amazing. I actually hunted a tiger. Mother will definitely be very happy when she sees this." Yi Li touched Dao Du's head lovingly. Then he blinked and said, "Not just one. There's another one. Let's go down the mountain now and send this tiger home. Later we'll go up the mountain and bring the other one back." The smile on Dao Du's little face became wider. He nodded heavily and looked at Yi Li with admiration. Uncle Yi was really amazing. Ordinary people had to put in a lot of effort and risk to hunt a tiger. However, Uncle Yi killed the tiger in a few moves. It was really amazing. In Dao Du's heart, Yi Li was already his hero and idol. Other than his father, Yi Li was the most powerful man in his heart. Chapter 23:19. Let's go. Yi Li found the little bun's infatuated gaze to be a little funny, so he gently patted Dao Du's head and called out to him. After all, it would take a lot of effort to climb up the mountain later, so Yi Li didn't want to drag things out too late. MMM. Dao Du nodded heavily, then followed Yi Li down the mountain. After Yi Li turned to leave, the yellow-clothed gentleman narrowed his eyes slightly, as if he was thinking about something. Ming Yi walked up and said to the yellow-clothed gentleman, "Your Majesty. That person just now was very skilled, so he's clearly not an ordinary person. We don't know if he has any ulterior motives this time, so we have to be careful." This yellow-clothed gentleman was the current emperor. This time he came to Yang City again to discuss political matters with Mu Lianfeng face-to-face, and at the same time, to investigate whether Mu Lianfeng was sincerely working for him during this period of time. After secretly investigating, the emperor confirmed that Mu Lianfeng had been working for him earnestly during this period of time, and didn't do anything he shouldn't have done. Only then did he truly accept Mu Lianfeng in his heart. He was naturally suspicious, so he would consider many things before using people. Only when he confirmed that there was nothing wrong with this person and that this person was completely loyal to him would he dare to entrust everything to him. Suppressing the unrest at the border fortress was very important, so he had to confirm that Mu Lianfeng was truly loyal to him. Otherwise he would have to hand this matter over to someone else. Fortunately, Mu Lianfeng didn't disappoint him, and he now had one more person he could use. Hearing Ming Ye's words, the emperor smiled faintly and his eyes darkened. He shouldn't have any ulterior motives. Your Majesty, why are you so sure? Ming Ye didn't understand. In any case, he felt that this matter was too strange. Who would come into this deep mountain for no reason? Just when the emperor was in danger, Yi Li suddenly intervened and saved the emperor's life. This was too much of a coincidence, so much so that it made people feel that something was wrong. There was a meaningful smile on the emperor's lips. He curled his lips and replied in a playful tone, "Zhen's intuition." Ming Ye's mouth twitched. When did the emperor start joking with them? Women talked about intuition all day long. How could the emperor judge things based on intuition? He felt that something was wrong, but it was always a good thing to be more careful. Just in case Yi Li had any ulterior motives, it would be better to take precautions. Alright, let's go. The emperor's tone became a lot more relaxed. He called a few of his subordinates to go down the mountain and find Mu Lianfeng to discuss political matters. Yes. After Yi Li carried the tiger down the mountain, the villagers heard about it and all rushed over to watch the fun. Previously, Zhao Yun'er's family got a tiger, which was very shocking. They didn't expect to get another one this time. Zhao Yun'er was also a little dumbfounded when she saw Yi Li carry the tiger back. Wasn't this man a little too valiant? It was just a trip up the mountain. How could he bring back a tiger so casually? Yun'er, do as you see fit with this tiger. I'll skin it later and I'll leave the rest to you. Then you can have a meal of tiger meat tonight. There's still another one on the mountain, so I'll go and carry it back. After placing the tiger on the ground, Yi Li had Zhao Yun'er greet him. Chapter 23:20. Zhao Yun'er was secretly shocked. She only felt that Yi Li's skills were really too heaven-defying. Killing a tiger was as easy as killing a chicken. It was too easy. After being shocked for a while, Zhao Yun'er finally came back to her senses and nodded at Yi Li. Yi Li smiled, then turned around and continued walking up the mountain. Meanwhile, quite a number of people had gathered in Zhao Yun'er's courtyard. They were all pointing at the tiger on the ground and discussing it. Aya, who is this person? He's too amazing. He actually killed a tiger. Alright, I remember that this person lived with old Zhao's third branch for a long time. What's his relationship with the third branch? Originally, Yi Li lived with Zhao Yun'er's family. Other than his good looks, he didn't attract much attention. Although Yi Li was beautiful, Mu Lianfeng was also very handsome. Moreover, Mu Lianfeng was the heir apparent. With Mu Lianfeng in front of him, Yi Li attracted a lot less attention. Most of the time, Yi Li wouldn't easily show his face in public. He didn't want to cause trouble for Zhao Yun'er's family when he came out for a stroll. Even when Zhao Yun'er's family held a banquet, Yi Li purposely left so that no one could see him. This was because he knew that the entire village would attend the banquet. If he showed up, he would naturally attract a lot of attention. This time, because Yi Li had hunted a tiger and carried such an eye-catching animal back, it was difficult for everyone not to notice him even if they didn't want to. After one person asked, the others followed suit and said, "That's right. Who is this man? I didn't hear Sister Liang and the others mention him." Yun'er girl, what's your relationship with the man who carried the tiger just now? Faced with the villagers' questions, Zhao Yun'er vaguely replied, "My cousin, my mother's relatives, and your parents are all there. He came to stay with us for a while." After hearing Zhao Yun'er's reply, everyone nodded and continued to gossip about Yi Li. Don't say Yun'er's cousin is really handsome. I have never seen such a handsome young man in the surrounding villages. Isn't that so? You can't find anyone with such looks in the entire Yang city. Other than being good-looking, he's also very skilled. He actually hunted a tiger. How good do you think he is? Ayaya, if he can even bring back a tiger, then pray is nothing. If he often brings back game back, who knows how much he can sell it for? Not to mention he's handsome and knows how to earn money. I wonder if he's married. He's definitely not married. If he's married, it's impossible for him to come to Sister Liang's place. That's true. It's a pity that his parents are dead. Otherwise I have a daughter at home. I want to marry my daughter to him. This young man is not bad. He's very capable. Now that you mention it, I also have a daughter at home who is of age to be married. It doesn't matter if his parents are dead as long as he's capable of earning money. I want to take him back as a live-in son-in-law. Indeed, he's not bad. Wouldn't we be lucky to have such a live-in son-in-law? Everything else aside, wouldn't the treasures on a tiger be worth dozens or hundreds of taels of silver? That's right. Let's ask Mrs. Liang then. The villagers were very interested in Yi Li, especially after seeing Yi Li's abilities. Those who had daughters at home couldn't wait to take Yi Li as a live-in son-in-law. Chapter 23-21. They knew that Yi Li was capable and could make money, so they wanted to give their daughter to him. How could there be such a good deal in this world? Not to mention Yi Li's ability, there were not many women who could match up to his looks. He was too handsome. If not for the fact that he was a beauty, there would be a lot of pressure standing next to Yi Li. However, the villagers could only talk about it. With Yi Li's personality, he would definitely not be interested in the daughters of these villagers. After the villagers finished their discussion, they gathered in front of Liang Jinxiao. They hoped that Liang Jinxiao, as an elder, could make the decision and help Yi Li get married. Liang Jinxiao was helpless. Zhao Yuner had only casually mentioned Yi Li's identity to stop the rumors. She was not Yi Li's real elder. How could she make the decision for Yi Li's marriage? He could only answer the villagers vaguely, "This child is quite independent. Although I'm an elder, it's not good for me to intervene in his marriage. If you really like this child, you can go and talk to him. He has to agree to this matter first." Zhao Yuner secretly shook her head and began to worry for Yi Li. Yi Li would probably have to endure the villagers' ravaging. It was just like the 21st century's ants urging people to get married. It was really annoying. She had already experienced it in her previous life. She knew how it felt to live a life worse than death. Putting the villagers aside, Zhao Yuner stared at the tiger on the ground. Such a big tiger would be able to have a good meal tonight and make a table full of meat. She could cut some of the meat and send some to Mulan. Old Zhao's family could also send a few caddies. If she couldn't finish the rest, she could just marinate it with salt. When she wanted to eat it, she could eat the marinated tiger meat. Tasted pretty good. She could keep some tiger bones for wine and give the rest to others. The most valuable and precious thing was the tiger penis. Thinking about the tiger penis's effect, Zhao Yuner's cheeks began to blush. She was a little embarrassed. With Mu Lianfeng's physical strength, why would he need such a thing? She was already tormented enough every night. If he used the tiger's penis, wouldn't he torment her to death day and night? Last time she and Mu Lianfeng brought back the tiger's penis. Until now she still hadn't used it and kept it at home. This time she got 2 tigers and 2 more. She could consider giving them away or selling them. One of them should be able to sell for a good price. After all, the rarer something was, the more valuable it was, and there were many men in ancient times who had this problem. As long as it could be cured, rich people would be willing to pay any price. Later on, she would look around and see who could pay a high price to sell the 2 tiger penises. More and more people came back to Zhao Yuner's house. They were all here to watch the tiger. Many people wanted to eat tiger meat, but they also knew Zhao Yuner's temperament. Unless she was willing to give it to them, ordinary people wouldn't be able to get it. They could only watch from the side. After a while they slowly dispersed. Zhao Yuner's house also slowly regained its peace. Not long after, Yi Li came back from the mountain carrying another tiger. Zhao Yuner hurriedly called Yi Li to come down and take a breath. There was no hurry to deal with the tiger. "Mother, Uncle Yi is so powerful today. He directly killed 2 tigers. But I have good news to tell Mother." Chapter 23-22. Mom, this rabbit was hunted by Daodu. Daodu pointed at a wild rabbit lying on the ground. Zhao Yuner looked surprised and asked, "Really? Was it hunted by Daodu?" "Yes." Daodu nodded heavily. Zhao Yuner was not stingy with her praise. She touched Daodu's head and said with a smile, "Daodu is great. You can give us more food tonight." "Yes." Daodu's little face was filled with a brighter smile. Zhao Yuner found that Daodu's ability was getting better and better under the guidance of Yi Li, a good master. He was much stronger than before. His archery skills could be used to hunt prey, which showed that he was not ordinary. If Daodu could continue to learn from Yi Li, this child would be so powerful in the future. As a mother, she naturally hoped that her child would become better and better. Of course, the most important thing was to be happier and happier. Seeing the smile on Daodu's little face, Zhao Yun'er knew that Daodu was happy from the bottom of his heart. He really liked to learn from Yili. Yili drank a few bowls of water and squatted down in front of the tiger. He held a dagger in his hand and lowered his head to peel the tiger's skin. Yili was afraid that the tiger's skin would be damaged and lose its integrity, so he was very careful when he peeled it. His eyes were like torches. When he was serious, he was more handsome than usual. Zhao Yun'er couldn't help but sigh in her heart. How could there be such a good-looking boy? Because Yili squatted down, Zhao Yun'er could see Yili's trembling eyelashes. His eyelashes were very long, like two butterfly wings. Many girls envied this kind of eyelashes, and Zhao Yun'er was no exception. As if sensing Zhao Yun'er's gaze, Yili lifted his head and their eyes met. Zhao Yun'er turned her head away in embarrassment. She couldn't help but be infatuated again. However, she didn't have any other intentions. She was simply admiring Yili's delay. Yili's cheeks also turned slightly red for a moment. Then, he lowered his head and continued to skin the tiger seriously. After spending a lot of effort, Yili peeled off the two tiger skins and put them on the drying pole to dry. Zhao Yun'er went to the kitchen to prepare dinner. Since there was tiger meat for dinner, he planned to roast it just like roast beef and mutton. There was still some cumin, chili powder, and sesame seeds at home. Zhao Yun'er first smeared some salt and sauce on the tiger meat, then skewered it on a wooden stick. Seeing Zhao Yun'er's preparations, Liang Jinxiao asked curiously, "Yun'er, how are we going to eat this tiger meat tonight? Why are you still using a stick to stick the meat?" Zhao Yun'er smiled and explained to Liang Jinxiao that they were going to roast the meat for dinner. However, this method of eating was too advanced and didn't exist in ancient times. After all, in a place like Shuilan village they only grew crops and rarely ate meat. Naturally, they didn't know what roast meat was. Zhao Yun'er didn't continue to explain to Liang Jinxiao. She only told Liang Jinxiao that this was a novel way of eating and that they would know when they tried it later. After cooking the tiger meat, Zhao Yun'er moved out a table and prepared to eat it outside. She simply made a barbecue. She had forgotten how long it had been since she last had barbecue in this world. Since she remembered today, she wanted to use this opportunity to satisfy her cravings. She also asked Zhao Wenhua and Zhao Tianan to get some wood and used iron wire to make a simple barbecue stand. Chapter 23:23. The sky was a little dark and it really felt good at this time. Everyone was eating barbecue around the fire, and it was really a different feeling. In addition to her own family, Zhao Yun'er also called Mulan's family over, and the courtyard was crowded with many people. Fortunately, there were many stools at home and they formed a circle, so it didn't seem too crowded. It was the first time that everyone had seen this way of eating. It was actually worn on a wooden stick and they didn't know what it would taste like. However, Zhao Yun'er's cooking had always been good, and she often made some novel ways of eating. Presumably, it would be the same this time. However, there was no doubt that Zhao Yun'er's cooking had always been very delicious, and there was no doubt about it this time. In the face of this kind of barbecue, everyone was looking forward to what it would taste like. Compared to the taste of barbecue, the atmosphere of eating barbecue seemed to be more enjoyable. Usually, the family rarely communicated, and they only gathered at the same table when eating. Now they sat together before eating, chatting and laughing, and it was very warm. The happiest were the few children. They had fewer activities on weekdays, and this time they felt that it was novel and fun to eat barbecue together. Zhao Yun'er chatted and laughed with them while she was in charge of barbecuing the meat. Because of the cloth, when it was placed on the fire, the oil inside seeped out and it squeaked. After a while, there was a fragrant barbecue smell. The few children stared greedily at the barbecue in Zhao Yun'er's hands. Zhao Yun'er smiled and comforted them. "Don't worry, it will be ready in a while. We can eat barbecue soon." After about 5 minutes of barbecuing, seeing that the meat was almost cooked, Zhao Yun'er sprinkled cumin and sesame seeds on it. Because the children couldn't eat too spicy food, Zhao Yun'er didn't add chili powder. As for the adults, they could eat spicy food, so Zhao Yun'er added a little bit and adjusted it according to everyone's taste. There weren't many barbecued in the first round, but everyone got a skewer. When they bit into it, the fragrance of the meat spread in their mouths. Compared to the roasted pork and mutton of the 21st century, the roasted tiger meat had a different taste. After tasting the barbecued meat, the children shouted excitedly that it was delicious. Even the adults were nodding their heads and praising the taste. After hearing the praise, Zhao Yun'er became more confident and continued to cook. Although it took a while to bake, everyone sat together and chatted. Time passed quickly. Unknowingly he had already eaten 3 rounds, but he didn't feel much of a difference in his stomach. However, after eating some he felt a little thirsty. Zhao Yuner suddenly thought of the green plum wine that she had brewed a few months ago, so she decided to bring it out. Children couldn't drink it, but adults could taste it. Compared to white wine, the alcohol content of fruit wine was relatively lower. The green plum wine had a special fragrance and tasted very good. With wine and meat it was a different kind of enjoyment. While the family was eating and laughing together in the courtyard, reflecting the light of the fire, Mu Lianfeng accompanied the emperor down the mountain. Because it was too late, Mu Lianfeng prepared to arrange for the emperor to stay at Zhao Yuner's house. The two people had just walked into old Zhao's courtyard when they heard the laughter in the courtyard from afar. It seemed very lively. The emperor had a smile on his face and was a little curious about what had happened. Life in the countryside was really different from life in the imperial palace. Chapter 23-24. The aroma of this meat was very peculiar, and the emperor had never smelled it before. There were delicacies from all over the country in the imperial kitchen, but there were still many that he had never tasted before. Tempted by this fragrant aroma, the emperor couldn't help but sniff. When he saw everyone sitting together, chatting and laughing as if they were drinking and chatting merrily, he became even more curious. Thus he asked Mu Lianfeng, who was standing beside him. "Mu Aiqing, what are they doing?" Mu Lianfeng was also a little confused by the situation in front of him, because he had never experienced something like this before. He didn't know what new things Zhao Yuner had come up with, but he could never keep up with Zhao Yuner's pace. Sometimes he really wanted to crack open Zhao Yuner's skull to see where she came up with these bizarre ideas. Faced with the emperor's question, Mu Lianfeng lowered his head and replied with some embarrassment, replying, "Your Majesty, this subject also doesn't know." "Oh, is that so? This is even more interesting." The emperor's lips curled into a playful smile, then he walked towards the bonfire. Mu Lianfeng hurried to keep up with the emperor's pace. As soon as he saw Mu Lianfeng return, Daodu's little face was instantly filled with smiles. He ran over to Mu Lianfeng and sweetly called out to Mu Lianfeng, "Daddy." Mu Lianfeng replied as he dotingly rubbed Daodu's head. He had been so busy recently that he didn't have much time to accompany his son, so he felt a little apologetic. Daodu pulled Mu Lianfeng's hand and said, "Daddy, come over quickly, mother is making roasted meat for us to eat." "Daddy, it's delicious, you should also try it later." Mu Lianfeng nodded. Only then did he realize that Zhao Yuner was making roasted meat. As for what kind of meat it was, Mu Lianfeng didn't think too much about it. When Daodu saw the emperor standing beside Mu Lianfeng, he raised his head to look at the emperor, then curiously asked Mu Lianfeng, "Daddy, who is this?" Mu Lianfeng glanced at the emperor, conflicted about how to answer Daodu. Before Mu Lianfeng could answer, the emperor smiled at Daodu and introduced himself, "Just call me Uncle Huang." Daodu very politely greeted the emperor, "Uncle Huang." Seeing Daodu, who was so polite and well-educated, coupled with her soft and cute appearance, the emperor's smile deepened. He seemed to like Daodu a little. "Good." Mu Lianfeng's SSSSSSS. Mu's SS Mu Lianfeng cupped his hands. "Thank you for your praise, Your Majesty." "No problem." At this moment, Zhao Yuner, who was roasting meat, looked at Mu Lianfeng and the emperor. When she saw the emperor's familiar face, Zhao Yuner was slightly surprised. She didn't expect the emperor to come to Yang City again. Zhao Yuner hurriedly got up and wanted to bow to the emperor, but the emperor hurriedly gave her a look to stop her. Zhao Yuner understood the emperor's meaning. As the current emperor, his identity was a bit shocking, so he couldn't casually reveal it. If too many people knew, it would only put the emperor in more danger. Since he was visiting incognito, it meant that he didn't want others to know his identity. However, facing the current emperor, Zhao Yuner still felt a lot of pressure. Because she didn't know why the emperor was here this time, but she was sure that he wouldn't come here for no reason. The emperor's thoughts were deep, and he wasn't a simple character. Zhao Yuner couldn't help but worry. She secretly prayed that nothing would happen. Chapter 23-25. Zhao Yuner did not dare to neglect the emperor, the most powerful man in the world. She replied, "It's barbecued meat. Young Master Huang might not have eaten it before." The emperor's smile carried a hint of inquiry. He raised his eyebrows and asked, "Is that so? Can I have a taste too?" How could Zhao Yuner refuse? She nodded and beckoned the emperor over. "Young Master Huang, come and sit. There are too many people here. I hope young Master Huang doesn't mind. It's a good thing that there are more people. It just so happens that I also want to join in the fun. The emperor seemed to be in a good mood. Previously, when he was in the imperial palace, he could not find anyone even if he wanted to join in the fun because of his status as the emperor. Moreover, because of his identity as the emperor, the people around him were all trembling with fear, as if they were walking on thin ice. They were afraid that they would say something wrong, offend him, and bring disaster to themselves. How many people were willing to speak their mind to him? There were many people who flattered him, but not a single one treated him sincerely and was willing to get along with him like a friend. The more time passed, the more lonely he felt. Perhaps this was the so-called, "it's lonely at the top." The emperors of ancient times all claimed to be lonely. Indeed, after reaching this position, the emperor felt an unprecedented sense of loneliness. He could not enjoy the companionship in the imperial palace. He came out incognito and did not let others know his identity. Naturally, others would not feel so restrained when interacting with him. Thinking of this, the emperor couldn't wait to chat with Zhao Yun'er's family, laugh a few words and feel the liveliness. Zhao Yun'er also smiled and nodded, then beckoned the emperor to sit down. It was good that the emperor did not reveal his identity. At least the others would not feel awkward and uncomfortable sitting there. If Liang Jinxiao and Zhao Wenhua knew of the emperor's identity, they would be so scared that they would kneel on the ground. Her parents were very timid. They were so reserved in front of Mu Lianfeng. If they were in front of the emperor, they would tremble with fear and probably not even dare to breathe loudly. It was estimated that the originally lively atmosphere would have to come to a halt. Mulan had seen the emperor before, but she didn't know who he was. After seeing the emperor, she greeted him with a smile. "Young Master Huang, you actually came? What a coincidence." The emperor also smiled at Mulan. Yes, what a coincidence. The emperor originally had a smile on his face, but when he saw Yi Li sitting in the middle of the crowd, he froze and was a little surprised. He did not expect Yi Li to know Zhao Yun'er. In that case, there was nothing suspicious about Yi Li's identity. He probably wasn't here to assassinate him. It seemed that his intuition was quite accurate. Thinking of Yi Li's kung fu, the emperor admired Yi Li even more. This young man's kung fu was too powerful, even more powerful than the guards around him. It had to be known that the guards by his side were all carefully selected and their kung fu was considered top-notch in the Great Zhou country. But in front of Yi Li, compared to Yi Li, the difference was not small. If he could have this kind of expert by his side, it would be a good thing for him. Feeling a burning gaze fall onto him, Yi Li raised his head and looked at the emperor. The two of them looked at each other for a few seconds. Their eyes reflected the light of the fire and the wood in the fire crackled. Chapter 23-26. He didn't expect that the person he saved on the mountain today would know Zhao Yun'er, but he still couldn't be bothered to pay attention to him. Zhao Yun'er saw this and asked jokingly, "What, do you know each other?" The emperor smiled and nodded. "That's right. Today I was almost injured by a fierce tiger on the mountain. Fortunately, this young hero appeared in time and saved me. He can be considered my savior." Zhao Yun'er sighed in her heart. She naively thought that Yi Li had only brought back 2 tigers. She didn't expect him to save someone. Most importantly, Yi Li had become the emperor's savior. If the emperor wanted to express his gratitude, he should be able to give him a lot of benefits, right? Zhao Yun'er's eyes sparkled with glistening yellow gold. Sigh. After coming here and experiencing the torment of life, she had become very greedy for money. Her mind was filled with thoughts of money. That's even more of a coincidence. Aha, but this young hero didn't accept my thanks. I still don't know this young hero's name. The emperor sighed regretfully. Zhao Yun'er's mouth twitched. She couldn't help but sigh. Was Yi Li stupid? He didn't know how to take advantage of free benefits. Sigh, a meat pie fell from the sky and he wasn't happy. It wasn't that Zhao Yun'er was greedy for that little bit of money, but she knew that Yi Li's life was very difficult. She still remembered how Yi Li was so down and out that he didn't even have food to eat. Later on, in order to earn money, he did many dangerous things. Zhao Yun'er was really worried about his safety. If he could save up some money through the emperor's reward, it would be enough for him to live a carefree life and save him the trouble of running around in the future. Moreover, Yi Li didn't accept this reward for nothing. It was because he saved the emperor's life. It was only right for him to enjoy this reward. However, Yi Li still had a cold and indifferent attitude towards the emperor. It was as if he didn't want to pay attention to the emperor at all. He only replied indifferently, "I already said that there's no need. Since we're not friends, why should we be friends? What's the point of knowing their names?" The emperor smiled helplessly. This was the first time he met someone who gave him such a look. If this was the imperial palace, whoever dared to treat him like this would have been punished. Zhao Yuner was also secretly worried for Yi Li. The ignorant were fearless. Fortunately, Yi Li didn't know the identity of the emperor. In addition, the one who didn't know was not guilty. The emperor probably wouldn't blame Yi Li for his attitude. In addition, Yi Li was His Majesty's savior. His Majesty wouldn't be so petty as to bicker with Yi Li. However, Zhao Yuner still pursed her lips and tried to lighten the atmosphere. Now that we're all sitting together, it must be fate. Young Master Huang, the young hero you speak of is called Yi Li. After introducing Yi Li to young Master Huang, Zhao Yuner turned to young Master Huang and said, Yi Li, this is young Master Huang. He's a noble person in the capital. For the sake of giving Zhao Yuner face, Yi Li reluctantly nodded at young Master Huang. Young Master Huang also smiled and nodded in greeting. Miss Yuner is very familiar with this young Master Yi? We're quite familiar. Ah, that's good. The emperor lowered his guard against Yi Li even more. From time to time he would glance at Yi Li and ponder how he could make use of this powerful youth. He admired talented people and wished that he could recruit all the capable people to his side so that they could assist him. Chapter 23-27. She knew that Yi Li was born with good looks, but the way the emperor stared at Yi Li was a bit strange. Could it be that he had taken a fancy to Yi Li? Zhao Yuner couldn't help but imagine a romantic scene in her mind. This era didn't seem to be popular with men, but that didn't exclude the fact that people were gay. Especially those important people. Their interests and hobbies were hard to figure out. Perhaps it was because the emperor had a harem of 3,000 beauties. It seemed that there were too many women, so he didn't have much interest in Yi Li. The more Zhao Yuner thought about it, the more she felt that Yi Li was too dangerous. What if the emperor forced her to be with Yi Li? With the emperor's high status, who could refuse? Wouldn't Yi Li be ruined by the emperor? Sigh. Yi Li was a normal man. If he found out that another man had taken a fancy to her, would he feel a chill in his heart? Zhao Yuner was lost in her thoughts. It wasn't until Mu Lianfeng lightly coughed that Zhao Yuner came back to her senses. She realized that she had lost her composure because Yi Li and the emperor had been looking at each other for a while. The emperor smiled slightly. Zhao Yuner felt even more embarrassed. She quickly lowered her head and continued to roast the meat to ease the awkwardness. Soon, Zhao Yuner finished roasting the meat and handed it to the emperor to let him have a taste. After eating the tender and fragrant roast meat, the emperor narrowed his eyes and carefully savored the taste. He couldn't help but nod his head. Then he praised Zhao Yuner. Miss Yuner, this meat tastes really good. What kind of meat is this? It's the 2 tigers that Yi Li killed. I was thinking of doing something new, so I roasted them to eat. After the emperor heard this, he was slightly surprised for a moment. Then a playful smile appeared on his face. It was actually tiger meat. He was curious why Yi Li was carrying the tigers, but it turned out that he was carrying them back to eat. And he just happened to freeload off the good food. It had to be said that this was the first time he had eaten such a novel way of roasting meat. It was probably because he had eaten too much of the food in the imperial palace. After tasting Zhao Yuner's roasted meat, he felt that it was different. Delicious, delicious. In less than a minute, the emperor had finished all the skewers in his hand, but he still seemed to want more. Zhao Yuner hurriedly took care of continuing to roast meat. She also took out the green plum wine at home to entertain the emperor. The group of people continued to chat and laugh around the bonfire. Unknowingly, the night deepened. After eating for a long time, they were finally full. Zhao Yuner counted for a bit. A total of 15 kilograms of roasted meat had actually been eaten. After dividing it up, everyone ate more than half a kilogram. Their appetite was really quite big. It was late at night when the whole family began to prepare to rest. The children were also tired from high. When the night fell, they immediately felt sleepy. Zhao Yuner first helped Dao to wash up, then prepared a room for the emperor to rest in. However, the conditions at home couldn't be compared to the imperial palace. No matter how well she prepared today, it was still too shabby for the emperor. For the time being, it was fine to make do for one night. The emperor also didn't pay much attention to this aspect. After the family finally rested, Zhao Yuner laid on the bed. Seeing Mu Lianfeng lying down, she quietly asked Mu Lianfeng about the purpose of the emperor's visit. Mu Lianfeng didn't hide it from Zhao Yuner and directly told her the reason. According to the emperor's intention, Mu Lianfeng would have to leave here in less than a month and rush to the frontier to complete his mission. Hearing that it would be a month, Zhao Yuner still felt that it was too fast. Chapter 23-28. Zhao Yuner had an indescribable feeling when she thought about how long it would take for Mu Lianfeng to return. Perhaps she was used to having Mu Lianfeng by her side during this period of time, so she was reluctant to part with him. But no matter how reluctant she would not stop Mu Lianfeng. She only hoped that he could complete the task assigned by the emperor and come back as soon as possible. Mu Lianfeng reached out and took Zhao Yuner into his arms. He said softly, "Yuner, I have good news to tell you." Zhao Yuner asked in confusion, "What good news?" "Yuner, how we can get married." Zhao Yuner was stunned. This matter was too sudden for her. During this period of time she had never expected to marry Mu Lianfeng. Because of old Madame Mu's objection, Zhao Yuner did not want Mu Lianfeng to be in a difficult position. Moreover, whether they got married or not was not a very important matter to her. After all, she could still be with Mu Lianfeng every day and live like a married couple. She did not care about it, but she certainly hoped that she could marry Mu Lianfeng and have a more legitimate identity. Get married? And get married. Yuner, we can finally get married. Mu Lianfeng's eyes were like stars, shining brightly. What? Yuner, this time our marriage will be personally arranged by the emperor. You will be the most glorious bride to marry me. Zhao Yuner instantly understood that it was the emperor's role. Indeed, with the emperor, even if old Madame Mu looked down on Zhao Yuner's identity 10,000 times, she could not say anything. Old Madame Mu could use her life to threaten Mu Lianfeng, but she did not dare to hesitate in front of the emperor. Because her objection would not only implicate herself, but more importantly, it might implicate the entire Shitzi manor. Zhao Yuner could not help but feel sad. Why did her marriage with Mu Lianfeng have to be completed with the help of others? Why were there so many obstacles when two people were in love with each other and got married together? Zhao Yuner only hoped that nothing would go wrong this time. Sometimes, it would be easier to live a carefree life. If Mu Lianfeng did not care about old Madame Mu's life and death, he would not be afraid of old Madame Mu's threats. They would have gotten married long ago. The corner of Zhao Yun's mouth pulled out a smile, making her mood seem a little higher. And good. How about in a few days? Wouldn't it be too rushed? Zhao Yuner shook her head. Mu Lianfeng would leave in less than a month. She couldn't wait for Mu Lianfeng to come back from the frontier fortress to get married. She nodded in agreement. I'm sure. Then Yuner, let's go embroidery tomorrow. I want the best embroiderers in Yang City to make a wedding dress for you in a few days. Then we'll go to the best jewelry shop to buy some jewelry for you. When the time comes, you must be the most beautiful bride. Alright, we'll also make some clothes for father, mother and Tianan. When they attend our wedding, we'll let them attend in a grand manner. Mu Lianfeng explained his plan. He finally married the woman he loved. In addition, Zhao Yuner did not want to get married because of him, so he wanted to give her the best things in the world this time. Zhao Yuner was also looking forward to it after hearing Mu Lianfeng's words. It was the first time in her 2 lives that she experienced such a major event. Chapter 23-29. Because during this period of time, she had already gained experience in holding a wedding. As long as she had enough money on hand, she could quickly go to Yang City and buy the things she needed to do in the afternoon. Just as Mu Lianfeng had said, even if it was something that took a long time like a wedding dress, as long as she gave enough money and found a few embroiderers to make it overnight, she could still make a beautiful wedding dress. The two of them discussed for a while. It was already late at night and she was very tired today, so Zhao Yuner quickly fell asleep. The next morning she had to make breakfast for the whole family when she woke up. Because of the emperor's arrival, Zhao Yuner prepared a little more sumptuous food. She cooked several dishes and baked some pancakes. However, the emperor liked the salted vegetables and salted duck eggs from Zhao Yuner's family the most. This kind of food was only eaten by ordinary people, so the emperor naturally had never tasted it before. It was because he had never tasted it that he found it novel and couldn't help but praise Zhao Yuner. Seeing the emperor like this, Zhao Yuner understood. She didn't need to prepare those exotic delicacies. In any case, the emperor was already tired of eating them in the palace, so why would he care? Instead, the emperor would like it if she prepared something that the emperor had never eaten before. After eating breakfast, Zhao Yuner cut out 5 caddies of tiger meat for the several branches of old Zhao's family and prepared to send it over. Because Zhao Qianhu and Jinju had separated from the main branch, they couldn't share their things with the main branch, so Zhao Yuner specially sent the 2 of them another 5 caddies of tiger meat. Because she was busy making barbecue yesterday, she didn't have time. When it was time for old Zhao's family, the other branches were all present. They received the tiger meat from Zhao Yun and quickly thanked her. Tiger meat was a treasure, so many people couldn't eat it. It was thanks to Zhao Yun that they were able to taste such a rare thing. Zhao Wenshui wasn't home, so Zhao Yun placed the meat in Zhao Wenshui's kitchen. She informed Qian Zurio that she would inform Zhao Wenshui when Zhao Wenshui returned. By the way, fourth aunt, what did second uncle do? Zhao Yun asked curiously. It must be known that Zhao Wenshui's previous temperament was that he didn't go out. If he could be lazy at home, he would try his best to stay at home. Hearing that Zhao Wenshui was going out, Zhao Yun wondered if she should find a job to do. After all, Zhao Wenshui's personality had changed. He might know that he had to earn money to support his family, so he went out to earn some money. However, Zhao Wenshui was injured before. She didn't know if his injuries had healed or if he could continue to support himself. Earning money was important, but health was even more important. After all, health was the capital of a revolution. There was still a long way to go in the future, so she had to carefully consider it. Your second uncle went to your second aunt's house. He wants to persuade her to come back. Qian Zurio replied with a smile. In fact, she was also happy to see that Zhao Wenshui was willing to live a good life. As the saying goes, if the family lives in harmony, everything will prosper. No matter what, they were still a family. She hoped that all the branches of the family could live in harmony. I see. Zhao Yun's lips curled into a slight smile. Her second uncle kept his word and actually went to look for Li Chuanying. She just didn't know how Li Chuanying would react. At this time, Zhao Wenshui was a little deflated. Early in the morning, he rushed to Li Chuanying's house. When he went, he was full of expectations. After all, Li Chuanying had been his wife for so many years and had some feelings for him. Chapter 23:30. However, when he arrived at Li Chuanying's home, Zhao Wenshui realized that he was overthinking things. He was thinking on the bright side, but he didn't know that some things weren't as easy as he thought. He was originally happy to arrive at Li Chuanying's home, but when the Li family saw him, they came out with hoes and shovels and waved at him before he could enter the yard. You bastard, you did so many bad things to my sister and you still have the nerve to come here? Get out of here. Li Chuanying's eldest brother, Li Dalong, almost stabbed Zhao Wenshui with a shovel. Zhao Wenshui was so scared that he hurriedly took a few steps back. He didn't want to lose his life just because he came to your house. Li Chuanying's second brother, Li Erlang, also scolded him angrily. Shameless bastard, get out of my house. Who told you to come here? Although Zhao Wenshui was a little embarrassed by the scolding, he did let Li Chuanying down, so Li Dalong and Li Erlang's attitude was understandable. The purpose of this visit was to persuade Li Chuanying to go back with him. No matter how the Li family treated him, he should endure it and try his best to please them. Zhao Wenshui smiled fawningly and said to Li Dalong and Li Erlang, Big brother, second brother, don't be angry with me. I'm here today to apologize. Seeing the sly smile on Zhao Wenshui's face, Li Dalong and Li Erlang still put on a straight face and didn't give Zhao Wenshui any face. Haha, you're here to apologize? Are you kidding? Li Dalong snorted and rolled his eyes at Zhao Wenshui. What tricks are you playing now? It looks like you're up to no good. Li Erlang followed the atmosphere. Zhao Wenshui's face was bitter. Big brother, second brother, I'm not playing any tricks. I'm really here to apologize this time. I want to apologize to Tianyu's mother. What happened before was my fault. I let her down. Big brother, second brother. I know you're calling me a beast in your hearts. I admit that what I did was wrong, but now I know that I was wrong. Please give me a chance to apologize and turn over a new leaf. Li Dalong and Li Erlang looked at each other. Zhao Wenshui didn't look like he was lying. What he said was very sincere. However, when they thought of what Zhao Wenshui had done, Li Dalong and Li Erlang were very angry. There were some things that couldn't be fixed just by saying that you were wrong. After all, you had already caused great harm to others. Back then, Li Chuanying had suffered a great grievance when she divorced and returned to her mother's home. Because of this, many people in the village laughed at him. However, they were Li Chuanying's family after all. They couldn't possibly not protect their own sister's family after she was wronged, right? Wouldn't that chill Li Chuanying's heart? At that time, if Li Chuanying hadn't stopped them, they would have rushed to the Zhao family's house and beaten Zhao Wenshui up to vent their anger. They didn't expect that Zhao Wenshui would take the initiative to come here today. The funny thing was that he apologized for this matter so easily. Did he think that the Li family was so easy to bully and trample on? At that time they had warned Zhao Wenshui, but they didn't expect that Zhao Wenshui would still do things his own way and cause this irreversible result. Chapter 23:31. Zhao Wenshui was so scared that he trembled. He had been punched by Li Erlang before. Li Erlang was so ruthless that he almost turned him into a pig's head. Zhao Wenshui was a little scared when he saw Li Erlang's fist. Li Dalong also drove Zhao Wenshui away. "Get out of here. Get out of here before we do anything to you. Otherwise don't blame us if you look for trouble." Zhao Wenshui couldn't help but sigh in his heart. He sincerely came to apologize, but he hadn't seen Li Chueying yet. He hadn't been forgiven by Li Chueying. He couldn't get along with Li Dalong and Li Erlang. These two men were bad-tempered and he couldn't confront them directly. Otherwise he would be the one to suffer. Zhao Wenshui's heart was bitter. He looked at Li Dalong and Li Erlang pleadingly. "Big brother, second brother, since I was your brother-in-law before, please let me see Tianyu's mother. I did a lot of stupid things in the past, but now I've thought it all out. No matter how you punish me, I'm willing to accept it. Because of my stupidity, I brought great harm to Tianyu's mother. Now I just want to make it up to her. Big brother, second brother, I beg you. Let me see Tianyu's mother and apologize in person. If Tianyu's mother is still unwilling to forgive me, I won't continue to pester her." After Zhao Wenshui finished speaking, he almost knelt down in front of Li Dalong and Li Erlang. Zhao Wenshui's sincere attitude was completely different from before. Li Dalong and Li Erlang couldn't help but think deeply. Zhao Wenshui was hopeless in the past. Looking at Zhao Wenshui now, it seemed that he could still be saved. However, they couldn't risk the rest of their sister's life because of Zhao Wenshui's words. Now that Zhao Wenshui and Li Chueying were divorced, it meant that the two of them had nothing to do with each other. Even if Zhao Wenshui went to Li Chueying to apologize, what was the point? It wouldn't have any effect at all. "You better go back. My sister will never forgive you. Stop wasting your time." He had already recovered. "You came here on purpose. Aren't you trying to make things difficult for him?" After some thought, Li Dalong and Li Erlang decided not to let Zhao Wenshui see Li Chueying, lest Li Chueying bring up some sad memories. "Big brother. Second brother?" Zhao Wenshui suddenly felt desperate. He had already said what he needed to say, but the Li family refused to let him see Li Chueying. What could he do? "Hurry up and get lost. Why are you still standing there? Don't you understand human language?" Zhao Wenshui was unwilling to give up. It wasn't easy for her to make up her mind to come and beg Li Chueying for forgiveness. How could she just go back like this? He still wanted to live a good life in the future. Thus, Zhao Wenshui called out to the Li family's house, "Tianyu's mother, Tianyu's mother." Zhao Wenshui's shout didn't manage to get Li Chueying out, but it managed to get old Madame Li out. As soon as Li Chueying saw old Madame Li, he hurriedly greeted her, "Mother, mother." "It's me." Old Madame Li narrowed her eyes and walked towards Zhao Wenshui. She had heard Zhao Wenshui, Li Dalong, and Li Erlang's conversation in the courtyard. She couldn't help but sigh. The son-in-law. If he knew this would happen, why did he do it in the first place? Why did he have to do something wrong and hurt someone before he knew how to repent? Mena, there's not a single good thing. They didn't know how to cherish their daughter-in-law and went out to find another woman. Chapter 23:32. Old Madame Li replied calmly, "I may be old but I'm not blind. Of course I know it's you." Zhao Wenshui smiled embarrassedly and said in a flattering tone, "Mother, I'm so happy to see you." He, old Madame Li sneered twice. Now his mouth had become so sweet. She had never seen Zhao Wenshui speak like this before. "Mother. Big brother and second brother won't let me see Tianyu's mother. Can you do me a favor and let me see her?" Zhao Wenshui could only place his hope on old Madame Li. Li Dalong and Li Erlang quickly said, "Mother, don't listen to this bastard. If you let him see little sister, it will only make her unhappy." "That's right, mother. Don't give this bastard a chance to harm little sister." Old Madame Li remained silent. She glanced at Zhao Wenshui and said, "You're quite thoughtful this time. You're different from before." Zhao Wenshui quickly raised his hand and swore, "Mother, of course. How can I be the same as before? I really want to apologize to Tianyu's mother." Old Madame Li raised her eyebrows. "You didn't come here for this, did you?" Zhao Wenshui scratched his head embarrassedly after being exposed by old Madame Li. As expected, the older the wiser. Old Madame Li could see through him at a glance. "Mother, in fact, other than apologizing to Tianyu's mother, The most important thing I came here for today is to discuss with Tianyu's mother whether she can go back with me and live a good life. I already know I was wrong. I did a lot of stupid things in the past. Now, for the sake of Tianyu and to have a complete family, I hope Tianyu's mother can go back with me. This time I won't let her down. Otherwise I'll be struck by lightning and die a horrible death. Mother, just promise me, let me talk to Tianyu's mother? Old Madame Li frowned as she listened to Zhao Wenshui's words. She had lived for a long time and knew whether he was telling the truth or not. Zhao Wenshui sounded sincere this time. It didn't seem like he was lying. Li Dalong and Li Erlang were anxious, afraid that old Madame Li would agree. Mother, we can't trust him. Last time he said the same thing and promised to go back. In the end, didn't he still bully our little sister? We've already been tricked once. We can't be tricked again. Old Madame Li waved at Li Dalong and Li Erlang. It was said that people should be persuaded to reconcile and not to break up. Although her daughter didn't suffer any grievances after her divorce, it was inevitable for a divorced woman to be gossiped by the villagers when she returned to her maternal home. No one wanted to be the subject of discussion. Li Chuiying couldn't continue to stay in her maiden home. She wasn't that old. She still needed to find a husband so that she would have someone to rely on for the rest of her life. However, there weren't many reliable men. He had asked a matchmaker to look for a suitable candidate, but he hadn't found one. If Zhao Wenshui could really repent, why not give him a chance? What if he really wanted to live a good life in the future? After returning to her maiden home, old Madame Li could see that Li Chuiying was still thinking about her son, Zhao Tianyu, every day. If she went back with Zhao Wenshui, she would be able to take care of Zhao Tianyu again. She wouldn't have to think about him every day like now. Of course, this was only her idea. In the end, Li Chuiying had to make the decision. Chapter 23:33. Zhao Wenshui nodded excitedly. Since old Madame Li said so, it meant that there was still hope. Unlike Li Dalong and Li Erlang, who refused him directly and didn't have any hope, being a mother-in-law was the best. Zhao Wenshui waited expectantly in front of the yard for old Madame Li to talk to Li Chuiying, and then Li Chuiying would come out to see him. Although Li Chuiying didn't have much love, Zhao Wenshui knew that Li Chuiying lived with him and treated him wholeheartedly before. She was a very good woman. There was no one else around him except for Li Chuiying. No matter what, he was full of guilt towards her. If Li Chuiying was willing to go back with him, he would definitely treat her well for the rest of her life. Old Madame Li turned and went into the room. Although Li Dalong and Li Erlang were unwilling, they couldn't go against old Madame Li's wishes. At this time, Li Chuiying was sewing clothes in the room. She had returned to her parents' home for a while and didn't have much to do every day. It just so happened that her two brothers' children needed some clothes to wear, so she simply cut cloth and came back to make clothes at home. At this time she was almost halfway done. She also heard the voices outside the room clearly. She also didn't expect that Zhao Wenshui would come to the Li family. She thought that this heartless man wouldn't think of her at all. Or even if Zhao Wenshui came, it would be the same as last time. He had no choice but to come and coax her because there was no woman at home to take care of him. But this time, Zhao Wenshui's words did sound like he had come to his senses. Sigh. Li Chuiying's mood was very complicated. She had no feelings for Zhao Wenshui at all. After all, this man hurt her too deeply. What she missed the most in her heart were her two children. Zhao Jing-er was married for the time being. Even if she didn't live with Zhao Wenshui, it wouldn't affect Zhao Jing-er. Now that Zhao Jing-er had married into a rich family, although she would only be a concubine, she would not have to worry about food and drink. Her life would definitely be better than that of an ordinary family. However, Zhao Tianyu was still a child. Zhao Wenshui was a man who couldn't even cook. How could he take good care of Zhao Tianyu? Zhao Tianyu didn't know if it was too hot or too cold. Without her, his mother, by his side, he couldn't be at ease. Zhao Wenshui had nothing to do with her, but Zhao Tianyu was her flesh and blood. If she had a choice, how many mothers would abandon their sons? Sigh. Li Chuiying sighed heavily. The more he thought about it, the more worried he became. His hands paused for a moment as he listened to the commotion outside. After a while, old Madame Li Chuiying entered the room. Li Chuiying hurriedly lowered her head and started sewing again, as if she hadn't heard what the servants were saying. Old Madame Li approached Li Chuiying and said to Li Chuiying, "My dear daughter, Zhao Wenshui is here. Do you want to go out and take a look?" Li Chuiying shook her head. "No. Go and take a look. I think he's here to sincerely apologize this time. Is he different from before?" "Mother, forget it. I still don't want to go. What's the use of his apology? Do I have to go back with him and continue living with him? Seeing him will only make me feel more depressed. It's better not to see him. Li Chuanying replied to old Madame Li as she sewed the clothes in her hands. Old Madame Li sighed. My dear daughter, if he's really willing to change this time, won't you reconsider? Chapter 23:34. Mother? Li Chuanying felt a little sad when she heard that. Actually, she knew that it wasn't a good idea to stay in her parents' home forever. After all, her two brothers had already gotten married. Her mother and brother didn't have any objections, but her two sisters-in-law didn't want her to stay at home forever. From the moment she got married, she was no longer a member of the Li family. This time the divorce was too sudden. She had nowhere else to go, so she could only come back to her parents' home. That was why she stayed there for a while. Previously, she had been thinking about finding a reliable man who wouldn't stay at her parents' home for too long and cause trouble for them. However, the matchmakers had been helping her find some unreliable men. Some of them weren't even as good as Zhao Wenshui. Those with good character were too poor to eat. She didn't know how she would live after marrying them. Those with good conditions had bad character. The man she met a few days ago liked to beat his wife. Her previous wife was beaten to death by him. How could she dare to marry him? Wasn't she tired of living? After looking for a few men, she still couldn't find a suitable one. She couldn't marry casually. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to live a peaceful life like she did with Zhao Wenshui. If she really had to make do casually, she might as well live with Zhao Wenshui. She wanted to divorce because she hoped that her life would be better after the divorce. The first half of her life had been so miserable. She couldn't live the second half of her life in such a sorry state. Girl, when you're old, you need children to take care of you. Otherwise, who will take care of you when you're old? Think about yourself. Mother hopes that your life will get better and better, old Madame Li said as she patted Li Chuanying's shoulder and sighed. Li Chuanying lowered her head. It would be a lie if she said that there wasn't a trace of emotion in her heart. Anyway, it's fine to go and see how Zhao Wenshui is doing. What if he really changes? After thinking for a while, Li Chuanying finally nodded. Okay, mother. I'll go talk to him. Okay. Old Madame Li had a smile on her face. Li Chuanying also came out of the room. Zhao Wenshui, who was anxiously waiting outside the courtyard, was overjoyed when he heard Li Chuanying's familiar voice. Tianyu's mother. Zhao Wenshui shouted excitedly. Li Chuanying didn't show much emotion. He walked up to Zhao Wenshui and replied faintly. Why are you looking for me? Tianyu's mother? I am here to apologize to you. Facing Li Chuanying, Zhao Wenshui suddenly felt a little guilty and embarrassed. He smiled with a hint of flattery and said nervously to Li Chuanying. Zhao Wenshui was used to bossing Li Chuanying around. Li Chuanying had never seen this side of Zhao Wenshui. It seemed that Zhao Wenshui really was a little different. Li Chuanying didn't reply. Zhao Wenshui continued to speak. Tianyu's mother, I've done a lot of stupid things to you in the past. I know I don't have the face to beg for your forgiveness, but I still want to sincerely apologize to you. Actually, I came this time to ask you to go back with me and live a good life together. After going through so much, I realized how important it is to live a good life as a family. Chapter 23:35. Zhao Wenshui raised his hand and swore. Then he looked at Li Chuanying expectantly. Li Chuanying's expression changed slightly. In fact, when she saw Zhao Wenshui like this, she felt a little emotional. In the past, she didn't even dare to hope that Zhao Wenshui would say something like this. Today Zhao Wenshui said it. You don't have to apologize. Since we're divorced, I won't take what you did to heart. However, I think I'm living a good life now. I don't want to go back. Li Chuanying refused. Tianyu's mother? Zhao Wenshui, we were husband and wife. When we divorced, it meant that our fate as husband and wife was over. There's no need for us to continue being together. Isn't it good for us to live our own lives? If you like any woman, you can marry her. I'm not here to stop you. Li Chuanying smiled bitterly. Zhao Wenshui's throat suddenly choked. He couldn't say anything. He also felt very uncomfortable in his heart. Sigh. Zhao Wenshui sighed heavily. Since Li Chuanying said so, no matter how thick-skinned he was, he couldn't beg Li Chuanying to go back with him. Moreover, he was in the wrong first. Li Chuanying was already benevolent enough to talk to him. How could he expect Li Chuanying to treat him the same way? Tianyu's mother, I know what I did hurt you. It's normal that you don't want to go back with me and don't trust me. I have nothing to say. Today, I made a special trip here to apologize to you. Then I'll leave first. Zhao Wenshui was a little incoherent. He turned around and was about to leave in disappointment. Seeing Zhao Wenshui like this, Li Chuang felt strange. She felt a little heartache. Wait. Li Chuang called out to Zhao Wenshui. Zhao Wenshui turned to look at Li Chuang excitedly. He thought that Li Chuang had changed his mind and was willing to go back with him. Li Chuang said, "It's not easy for you to come here. It's almost noon. Why don't you stay for lunch? Otherwise, I won't be able to make it back in time for lunch." Zhao Wenshui had mixed feelings. He was a little disappointed but also happy. He was disappointed that Li Chuang was not willing to go back with him as he had expected. He was happy that Li Chuang had asked him to stay for dinner, which meant that she still missed him. Zhao Wenshui pursed his lips and nodded with a smile. Mrs. Li said, "I'll go to the kitchen and get busy. You used to be my son-in-law. Go and cook 2 eggs and some dishes." "Mom, I'll cook with you." Li Chuang followed Mrs. Li into the kitchen. She didn't want to continue facing Zhao Wenshui in the courtyard. The more she faced Zhao Wenshui, the more soft-hearted she became. Li Chuang was afraid that she couldn't control herself. In the end, she was willing to go back to her hometown with Zhao Wenshui. Zhao Wenshui's gaze followed Li Chuang until Li Chuang's back disappeared. Then he looked away resentfully. Li Dalong and Li Erlang's expressions were a little ugly. He was just a heartless bastard. They didn't know what his mom and sister were thinking. They were actually willing to continue talking to him. Sigh, there was something wrong with their heads. Li Dalong and Li Erlang rolled their eyes at Zhao Wenshui and went to get busy. Chapter 2336. Li Dalong glanced at Zhao Wenshui faintly and replied, "No need." It was his mother and sister's business if they wanted to talk to Zhao Wenshui, but he didn't want to care. Anyway, he didn't want to be nice to Zhao Wenshui anymore. Zhao Wenshui was still thick-skinned. He licked his lips and said, "Big brother, let me do it. I'm tired from chopping wood. I should do this kind of tiring work. You go rest." Li Dalong stopped what he was doing and frowned as he thought about it. Since someone wanted to suffer, he couldn't stop him. Thus, he threw the axe in his hand at Zhao Wenshui. "Then I'll let you do it." "Okay." Zhang Wenshui took the axe and began chopping wood. The wood didn't move at all when he swung the axe, unlike Li Dalong who could split the wood directly. Zhao Wenshui was a little embarrassed. Li Dalong glanced at Zhao Wenshui with some disdain, as if the words "useless" were written on his face. Zhao Wenshui smiled awkwardly and continued to swing the axe in his hand. This time he used all his strength and chopped the wood heavily. Fortunately, this time he finally made a hole. He continued to swing the axe and the wood finally split. After chopping only one piece of wood, Zhao Wenshui felt that he had used up most of his strength. He didn't have enough strength to continue chopping. Huff. Zhao Wenshui sighed heavily. He had no choice but to chop. No matter how tired he was, he could only grit his teeth and continue. Otherwise he would be despised by the Li family. Zhao Wenshui continued to chop wood with one breath. After a while his whole back was soaked with sweat. Li Dalong saw that Zhao Wenshui couldn't muster up any energy and felt even more disgusted. He was a man but he couldn't even do this kind of work. Looking at Zhao Wenshui's posture, he knew that he used to be lazy at home and didn't do much work. Men who were used to working wouldn't be as weak as Zhao Wenshui after regular training. Fortunately, his little sister had divorced this man. Otherwise, who knew how much more she would have suffered. At this time Mrs. Li and Li Chuang, who were busy in the kitchen, saw the movement outside. Old Madame Li sighed in front of Li Chuang, "Daughter, look at this Zhao Wenshui. He actually took the initiative to help us. In the past, when he came over, he would cross his legs like a master. It seems that his temperament has really changed. It's not easy to learn from their mistakes. You have to give him a chance." Li Chuang knew that old Madame Li was speaking up for Zhao Wenshui. In fact, when she saw Zhao Wenshui taking the initiative to help chop the firewood and Ye's insistence, she was surprised for a moment. After all, she knew very well how lazy Zhao Wenshui was in old Zhao's house. Now that he took the initiative to help chop the firewood, it was really not easy. It showed that Zhao Wenshui really wanted to change and live a good life. "Let's wait and see," Li Chuang said. Who knew if Zhao Wenshui was pretending? If Zhao Wenshui could continue like this, Li Chuang would be happy to go back and live with Zhao Wenshui. It wasn't because she forgave Zhao Wenshui but because she missed Zhao Tianyu. With her, Zhao Tianyu could be taken care of. He couldn't count on others. "Haha, okay." Old Madame Li laughed. After a while, old Madame Li and Li Chuang finished cooking and called Zhao Wenshui to eat. Zhao Wenxue heaved a sigh of relief. He finally didn't have to force himself to chop the firewood. Chapter 2337. After today's ordeal, his back would definitely be sore. He didn't know if he would be able to get out of bed tomorrow. His body wasn't like a normal person's. He had suffered such a serious injury before and hadn't fully recovered, so his body was very weak. He had used too much strength today and used up all the energy he had accumulated over the past few days. The Li family didn't prepare a sumptuous meal. There were only a few vegetarian dishes and a bowl of scrambled eggs, but Zhao Wenxue wasn't picky. He sat at the table and wolfed down the food. As he ate, he praised the taste of the food. Old Madame Li was amused by Zhao Wenshue's sweet words. If it wasn't for the dirty things Zhao Wenxue had done before, she would be quite satisfied with this son-in-law. After lunch, the Li family didn't keep Zhao Wenxue for long and let Zhao Wenxue go back. Coincidentally, the matchmaker who had helped Li Chueying find a match came to the Li family again in the afternoon. She said that she had a marriage to introduce and wanted to invite Li Chueying to meet in Yang City tomorrow. The two of them could talk face to face and see if they were suitable. The matchmaker said that the man this time was a bachelor. He hadn't married because his family was poor. However, the man's appearance and character were very good, so she could consider him. In the eyes of the villagers, a bachelor was much better than a man with a child. After all, not having to raise a child could save a lot of food. If the two of them worked hard together, they could survive this time. Old Madame Li asked for Li Chueying's opinion. Li Chueying thought about it and felt that he could agree. If this bachelor was good, she would marry him. In any case, she would be soft-hearted and go back to live with Zhao Wenxue. The matchmaker smiled and told him the time and place, then left the Li family. Zhao Yun'er went back home from old Zhao's house and busied herself with various household chores during the day. Mu Lianfeng went to the camp with the emperor. He was probably reporting on work again. Zhao Yun'er didn't worry about Mu Lianfeng's official business. After all, she was just a woman. No matter how good she wasn't as professional as Mu Lianfeng. With so many things to do every day, how could she have the time to worry about this and that? Zhao Yun'er told Liang Jinxiao and Zhao Wenhua about her marriage with Mu Lianfeng. Liang Jinxiao and Zhao Wenhua were very excited. What they were most concerned about now was Zhao Yun'er's marriage. Seeing that Zhao Yun'er had finally succeeded this time, they put down their worries. Zhao Yun'er felt a little helpless. She didn't feel anything, but her parents were very excited. Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao couldn't wait any longer. They hurriedly informed the rest of old Zhao's family about the good news. Zhao Yun'er then asked Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao to prepare to go to the town tomorrow to customize new clothes. By the time he got married, everyone would definitely be dressed to the nines. Zhao Yun'er didn't want old Madame Mu to look down on her family. Hearing that the whole family was going shopping in Yang City, Daodu and Zhao Tianfu were very happy. Adults liked lively places and children liked it even more. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Zhao Yun'er decided to take Liang Jinxiao and Zhao Wenhua to Yang City to walk around. If she remembered correctly, Liang Jinxiao and Zhao Wenhua didn't go out much and rarely saw the bustle in the city. Not to mention the delicious food and fun things in the city. When it was almost noon, Zhao Yun'er took care of cooking. Because the emperor was here, lunch was a little more sumptuous. Chapter 2338. Other than this, she also bought 2 fish from a fisherman in the village and made a dish of braised fish. She also fried a plate of green pepper scrambled eggs, a plate of shepherd's purse, a plate of roasted eggplant, a bowl of green bean curd soup and a dish of fried leeks. These dishes could only be eaten during the new year in the village. However, most of the dishes that Zhao Yun'er made were home-cooked dishes. Those few meat dishes were also made according to her own recipe. She tried her best not to let the emperor eat them. Before she finished making lunch, Mu Lianfeng came back from the camp with the emperor. As soon as they entered the courtyard, the fragrance of the dishes in the kitchen floated out. It smells so good. I don't know what kind of delicious food Miss Yuna made for lunch. The emperor's eyes lit up with a bit of expectation. The emperor trusted Zhao Yun'er's culinary skills very much, so he knew that the food she made would definitely be delicious. Mu Lianfeng said with a smile, "The village is lacking in resources, so we can only use local ingredients. It can't compare to the imperial palace. Yun'er only made home-cooked dishes, so I hope the emperor doesn't dislike them." The emperor waved his hand and said with a smile, "Mu Aiqing is joking, how could this one dislike them? This one is tired of eating the good things in the imperial palace, so it's good to change the taste. This one likes to eat home-cooked dishes here." Ha ha, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Mu Lianfeng made a rare joke with the emperor. It was only at this time that the two of them didn't have that much restraint between them. The emperor's lips curled into a smile. Of course. Why can't this one eat the food of the entire Great Zhou country citizens? If possible, this one also wants to experience the life of a normal person. Just like Yun'er's family, leisurely and comfortable, how many people yearn for that? Mu Lianfeng thought for a moment, looking at the high and mighty person in front of him. Actually sitting in that position, his heart should be very lonely, right? Fighting and scheming every day, there were too many things to take care of, and there were too many worries on his shoulders. How could he be happy with such a heavy burden? Even if he had everything in the world without happiness, what was the use of having so much? Mu Lianfeng felt that it would be better to live like an ordinary person. At least he would not have so many troubles every day. As long as they put in new efforts to eat and drink their fill, it would be perfect for the family to live happily together. If your majesty likes it, you can come and play more often. MMM. The emperor nodded with a smile and did not refuse. The two of them sat down in the courtyard. Liang Jinxiao held Tian Tian in his arms. Zhao Yuner was cooking in the kitchen, so she could only take care of Tian Tian. However, this child was very obedient, so she didn't have to worry too much about it. She held him in her arms and obediently laid on her body, not making a fuss. As soon as she saw Mu Lianfeng come back, Tian Tian became energetic. She waved at Mu Lianfeng, then made a gesture to ask for a hug. Mu Lianfeng had a doting smile on his face. He walked to Liang Jinxiao and took Tian Tian from Liang Jinxiao's hands. Yaya, Tian Tian, who couldn't speak yet, was excitedly shouting something. Mu Lianfeng touched Tian Tian's little face. This little girl was really strange. She knew that he hadn't been with her for a few days, so she wanted to hug him when she saw him. The emperor looked at Tian Tian in Mu Lianfeng's arms and also liked her very much. He asked curiously, "Whose child is this?" Chapter 23:39. You and Yun'er's daughter? The emperor asked in shock. This child looked like she was only a few months old. The last time he saw Zhao Yuner was not even pregnant. Where did such a big daughter come from? No. Mu Lianfeng shook his head and then explained, Yuner felt sorry for the child, so she adopted her. The emperor finally understood and nodded, so it's like this? This child looks very lovely. You've gained a daughter for nothing. Mu Lianfeng looked at Tian Tian in his arms, and the doting smile on his face deepened. Yes, I gained a daughter for nothing. She seems to be sensible sometimes, but sometimes she likes to make trouble. She's a mischievous girl. Ah. The emperor laughed heartily, then moved closer to Mu Lianfeng and reached out to tease Tian Tian. Tian Tian gave the emperor face and smiled sweetly at him. A child's smile was undoubtedly the purest thing in the world. The emperor, who was used to seeing darkness and filth, couldn't help but feel moved when he saw Tian Tian's smile, and he liked Tian Tian even more. Only Tian Tian could make him completely let go of the grudge in his heart. What's the child's name? The emperor asked casually. Her name is Tian Tian. Mu Lianfeng said. Tian Tian. That's a good name. It suits her very well. Especially when he saw Tian Tian's sweet smile, it was a perfect match. Can I hold her? The emperor couldn't help but ask. He really wanted to hold such a cute girl in his arms and love her. Yes. Mu Lianfeng nodded. The emperor reached out to hold her, and Tian Tian also reached out to respond to the emperor's hug. The emperor took the little girl from Mu Lianfeng's arms. Her whole body was soft and there was a sweet smell. It smelled good and it made people feel inexplicably at ease. It wasn't that he didn't have his own princes and princesses, but he didn't often hold those children. Hesitation was often not with the children, and those children were also very distant from him. She wasn't sensible when she was young, but after spending some time together, she became closer to others. When they grew up and became more sensible, they would have the ability to recognize others and become more scheming. The emperor didn't want his children to get close to him with ulterior motives. She hoped that all her feelings could be pure and not mixed with other motives. Tian Tian had fulfilled his expectations for his children. She was neither intimate with him nor did she have any ulterior motive. Hugging the person in his arms, the emperor's joy increased even more. She called out Tian Tian's name a few times, and the day before yesterday she also gave her face and giggled. This child is really delightful. If the child can be given away, I really hope that Mu Aiqing can give this child to me. The emperor said jokingly. Mu Lianfeng smiled. It's her fortune that your majesty likes her. Haha. However, in the next second, the smile on the emperor's face disappeared. Seeing the emperor's expression, Mu Lianfeng asked curiously, "Your Majesty, what's wrong? I feel a slight warmth in my abdomen and it's a little wet." Mu Lianfeng was slightly stunned, and then he immediately realized what had happened. The expression on his face was a little serious because he knew that the situation seemed to be a little serious. Chapter 2340. This person was the current emperor Ah. Of all the people she could pee on, she had to pee on the emperor. If the emperor's health was affected, no one would be able to protect this child. Mu Lianfeng nervously observed the emperor's reaction. Then he coughed lightly and said to the emperor, "Your Majesty, Tian probably peed on your body? Ichim?" The emperor was also shocked. She actually peed on his body? All these years, who dared to pee on his body? That was a great disrespect and would be beheaded. Today he was peed on by a baby. This baby's guts really went against the heavens. However, when the emperor lowered his head to look at Tian, the child didn't notice at all. Instead, she continued to giggle at the emperor. Previously, the emperor thought Tian's smile was very cute, as bright as the sun. Now he suddenly felt that this child was doing it on purpose. A knife hidden in a smile. On the surface she was smiling at you, but behind your back she peed on you. A wry smile appeared on the emperor's face. If it weren't for the fact that Tian was just a child, a few months old baby who didn't have her own thoughts and consciousness, he would have suspected that the child did it on purpose. Mu Lianfeng hurriedly took Tian from the emperor's hands, then apologized to the emperor, "Your Majesty, please forgive her. This child is not sensible. Please don't bicker with her and forgive her." The emperor chuckled, "Mu Iching, look at what you're saying. Am I such a petty person? Bicker with a child? Your Majesty, of course not. It's just that Tian still offended Your Majesty. This subject has to beg for Your Majesty's forgiveness on her behalf." The emperor waved his hand, all right, it's not a problem. Can Mu Iching help me find clean clothes so that I can change into them?" At this time the emperor's abdomen was soaked and stained with urine. Naturally he had to wash it off. "All right, this subject will find a clean set of clothes for Your Majesty. However, this subject has worn them before. Would Your Majesty mind?" "It's fine." "Good." Mu Lianfeng dug out his own set of clothes and brought the emperor to the room to change. After changing her clothes, Zhao Yun'er's meal was also ready. The whole family sat together and had a joyful meal. The next morning they took a carriage to Yang City. The emperor followed Mu Lianfeng to the Shizi mansion. The emperor wanted to tell old Madame Mu that he wanted to personally preside over Mu Lianfeng and Zhao Yun'er's wedding. Old Madame Mu did not expect that even the emperor would interfere in Mu Lianfeng's marriage. He was so determined to marry Zhao Yun. Previously, she did not agree with the emperor's marriage. She felt that Zhao Yun'er was not worthy of Mu Lianfeng. But now he realized that this woman was not simple. Even the emperor attached great importance to her and personally conferred her the title of Imperial Madam. This showed that this woman had her own abilities. It was not easy to receive the emperor's praise. No matter how many opinions she had to trust the emperor's judgment. Therefore, old Madame Mu did not continue to object to Mu Lianfeng and Zhao Yun'er's marriage. Of course, more importantly, she did not dare to object. On the other hand, Zhao Yun'er brought the whole family to Yang City for a stroll. There were many people coming and going on the streets of Yang City. It was unusually lively. Zhao Wenhua, Liang Jinxiao, and Zhao Tianan often came to Yang City. They liked to see the lively streets. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.